How to stay calm in any situation. Stoicism. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. This ancient wisdom holds the key to unlocking an unshakable calm in the stormiest of times. Are you ready to master a level of tranquility that will make others wonder how you remain so composed? What you're about to discover isn't just another fleeting piece of advice. It's a step-by-step guide to achieving inner peace, no matter the chaos surrounding you. And let me tell you, number 5 will change how you handle stress forever. We've all heard the quick fix tips that barely scratch the surface. But here, we dive into the profound teachings of Stoic philosophy, which have endured for centuries because they truly work. This video isn't for the faint-hearted, it's for those of you who are ready to face life's challenges with resilience and grace. Stay with me, because the insights ahead could be the key to transforming your entire approach to life. Before we dive in, if you find value in these lessons, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single one. Sometimes, it's the smallest lesson that brings the biggest change. Let's begin now. 1. Accept negative thoughts and emotions. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. When life throws its challenges at you, whether it's in your work, relationships, or just navigating the daily stresses of modern life, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But what if you had the tools to stay calm no matter what comes your way? That's exactly what Stoic philosophy offers, a framework for inner tranquility, even in the midst of external chaos. It starts with one of the most powerful lessons from Stoicism, accepting negative thoughts and emotions. Many of us believe that calmness is the absence of negativity, but the Stoics teach us something different. True calm comes not from avoiding or suppressing your negative emotions, but by acknowledging them. Think of it this way. When you accept your negative thoughts and emotions, you are giving them less power over you. As Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." It's our resistance to emotions like fear, anger, or anxiety that amplifies them. By simply recognizing them for what they are, natural responses to external events, you begin to regain control. Let's dive deeper into this idea of acceptance. When faced with a stressful situation, it's natural to have a flood of thoughts that might make you feel uneasy or anxious. Instead of pushing those thoughts away, a Stoic approach encourages you to observe them without judgment. Acknowledge them, but don't let them dictate your actions. Epictetus reminds us, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This mindset shift allows you to step back from the noise in your mind, observe your thoughts from a distance, and decide how to respond calmly. It's like standing in the middle of a storm and choosing not to fight the wind but to remain rooted. In today's fast-paced world, we're constantly bombarded by stressors, emails, deadlines, the expectations of others, and even the expectations we place on ourselves. This environment can lead to an almost constant state of tension if we're not mindful. However, by accepting that stress and negative thoughts are a part of life, you stop seeing them as enemies. Instead, they become signals for you to practice your mental resilience. The next time you feel frustration building up, pause and take a moment to observe your inner dialogue. By doing so, you're practicing the art of calmness, a skill that becomes more refined over time. Another key to maintaining calm in any situation is controlling your reactions. Once you've accepted your negative emotions, the next step is to manage how you respond to them. The Stoics believed that while we may not have control over what happens to us, we always have control over how we choose to react. Think about how empowering that is. No matter what life throws at you, you still have the power to determine your response. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When you control your thoughts, you control your emotional state, and therefore, you maintain your calm. It's essential to remember that remaining calm is not about being passive or indifferent to life's challenges. Stoicism is often misunderstood as a philosophy of cold detachment. In reality, it's about engaging with life fully, but doing so with a sense of inner control. Take the metaphor of a ship sailing through a storm. The sailor doesn't ignore the storm, nor does he panic and abandon ship. Instead, he remains focused on steering the ship, accepting that the storm is beyond his control but his actions are not. That's the Stoic approach to life's challenges. You face them head-on, but with a calm, composed mindset. In modern life, we often find ourselves reacting impulsively, whether it's in heated arguments, stressful work situations, or even small inconveniences like traffic jams. But as we practice the Stoic art of acceptance and control, we begin to change how we approach these moments. Instead of getting caught up in the heat of the moment, take a breath and remind yourself that your reaction is within your control. Viktor Frankl, a renowned psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, captured this beautifully when he said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." This wisdom, though not directly from the Stoics, aligns perfectly with Stoic thought. Maintaining calm is also about building resilience over time. Every time you practice controlling your reaction to stress, you're training your mind to become stronger, much like building muscle through consistent exercise. Eventually, situations that would have once rattled you no longer hold the same power. It's a gradual process, but it leads to a profound shift in how you navigate life. As you progress on this journey, remember the words of Epictetus. "No man is free who is not master of himself." The freedom we seek in life isn't from external circumstances, but from our inner turmoil. Mastering yourself, your thoughts, emotions, and reactions is the key to staying calm, no matter what comes your way. So how do you put all of this into practice? Start small. The next time you feel stressed or anxious, pause. Acknowledge the feeling, accept it, and remind yourself that you control how you respond. It may sound simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Over time, this practice will transform how you handle challenges, allowing you to remain calm in even the most difficult situations. Remember, Stoicism isn't about being perfect, it's about progress. Each time you choose calm over chaos, you're moving closer to becoming the master of your mind and emotions. Finally, as you continue on this path of Stoic wisdom, carry with you the words of Marcus Aurelius. When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Life's challenges may be inevitable, but with the right mindset, you can face them all with calm, strength, and inner peace. Two, set aside time for reflection. Setting aside time for reflection is one of the most powerful tools that you can use to remain calm in any situation. In today's fast-paced world, we are constantly bombarded with information, distractions, and obligations, leaving us little room to pause and think. But reflection is not just a luxury, it is a necessity. The Stoics understood this well, and they taught that in order to live a life of tranquility and control, we must regularly set aside moments to reflect on our actions, our thoughts, and our emotions. As Seneca once said, we should every night call ourselves to an account. What infirmity have I mastered today? What passions opposed? What temptation resisted? What virtue acquired? These moments of self-examination allow us to see our experiences with clarity and to prepare ourselves for future challenges. Without them, we are like a ship tossed by the waves, reacting impulsively rather than steering with intention. So the next time life throws a storm your way, ask yourself, are you reacting out of habit, or are you responding from a place of thoughtfulness and reflection? One modern story that illustrates the power of reflection comes from the world of high-pressure sports. Consider a professional athlete preparing for a big game. After hours of physical training, they don't just run straight into the field without a second thought. Instead, they take time to mentally prepare, to reflect on their strategy, and to visualize the game ahead. By doing so, they calm their nerves and sharpen their focus, ensuring that they can perform at their best when the moment arrives. The same principle applies to our everyday lives. We may not be preparing for a championship, but every day we face challenges that require us to stay composed and make wise decisions. By setting aside time to reflect, we can approach these challenges with a clear mind, rather than letting emotions cloud our judgment. Have you ever noticed how chaotic your thoughts can become when you're constantly rushing from one task to another? It's in these moments of rushing that we often make our worst decisions, snapping at a loved one, making an impulsive financial choice, or even missing opportunities that would have been clear if we had just slowed down. Reflection gives you the space to process your emotions and thoughts, helping you stay grounded and focused on what truly matters. Epictetus once said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." This quote highlights the importance of humility and reflection. When you pause to reflect, you're not only reviewing your past actions, but also opening your mind to new insights that might have been missed in the heat of the moment. In today's world, we are more connected than ever through technology, yet we often feel more disconnected from ourselves. Phones buzzing with notifications, emails flooding our inboxes, and social media pulling our attention in 1,000 different directions. These distractions make it difficult to find time for quiet reflection. But the truth is, carving out just a few minutes each day for mindful reflection can make all the difference. Whether it's first thing in the morning or right before bed, setting aside this time allows you to process your day, learn from your experiences, and enter the next day with renewed clarity. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, made reflection a daily practice, writing in his journal each night to examine his thoughts and actions. He believed that reflection was essential for self-improvement and for remaining calm amid the pressures of ruling an empire. His example shows us that no matter how busy we are, there is always time to reflect and grow. Now, you may be wondering, how can reflection really help in moments of stress? Imagine you've had a tough day at work, where nothing seemed to go right. Your instinct might be to vent your frustrations or distract yourself with mindless entertainment. But what if instead you took just 10 minutes to sit in silence, to review the day in your mind and to ask yourself, what can I learn from today's challenges? How can I approach similar situations differently in the future? This simple act of reflection can shift your mindset from one of frustration to one of growth. Rather than seeing the day as a loss, you begin to see it as a valuable lesson that will make you stronger and more resilient in the future. As you practice reflection, it's also important to ask yourself open-ended questions. This technique helps you dig deeper into your thoughts and experiences, uncovering insights that may not be immediately obvious. For example, after a particularly stressful event, ask yourself, why did I react the way I did? Or what could I have done to handle the situation more calmly? These questions prompt you to think critically about your behavior and give you the tools to improve in the future. The more you engage in this process, the more naturally calm you will become as you begin to understand the patterns in your thinking and behavior that trigger stress. Reflection also teaches us patience. It's easy to get caught up in the rush of modern life, always wanting immediate results and instant gratification. But reflection reminds us that growth takes time. It teaches us to be patient with ourselves and with others. As we look back on our experiences, we start to see that every setback, every mistake, and every challenge is an opportunity for growth. Over time, this understanding fosters a deep sense of calm and resilience. As the philosopher Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, once said, "Well-being is realized by small steps, but it is truly no small thing." Every moment of reflection is one of those small steps that lead to a life of tranquility and wisdom. 3. Show gratitude. Gratitude is often overlooked, yet it is one of the most powerful tools in Stoicism for staying calm in any situation. In moments of stress or adversity, it can be difficult to feel grateful, but this is precisely when gratitude has the greatest impact. The Stoics believed that showing gratitude, especially in trying times, shifts your mindset from frustration or despair to a sense of appreciation for what you still have. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." By focusing on the things you're thankful for, even in the middle of challenges, you regain a sense of perspective that allows you to remain calm and centered. Think about it. How often do we let small inconveniences or even major obstacles blind us to the good that still exists in our lives? It's easy to get caught up in the negative, but gratitude is a way to pull ourselves back from that edge and see the bigger picture. Can you recall the last time you faced a tough situation and instead of dwelling on what went wrong, focused on what was still going right? How did that change the way you felt? In modern life, we are constantly bombarded with things that can trigger stress. Work deadlines, family obligations, financial pressures, and even world events. It's no wonder that many of us feel overwhelmed. But here's the thing. Stress is a natural part of life. And while we can't always control what happens to us, we can control how we respond to it. This is where the practice of gratitude becomes essential. Instead of reacting impulsively or letting frustration take over, you can take a step back and remind yourself of the things you're grateful for. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, once said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." This shift in mindset doesn't magically make your problems disappear, but it does give you the strength and calm needed to face them with clarity and patience. So next time you're caught in traffic, dealing with a difficult coworker, or struggling with personal issues, try to pause and reflect on the things in your life that are going well. What are the blessings you might be overlooking? Gratitude, when practiced consistently, changes the way you experience life. It's not about ignoring difficulties or pretending that everything is perfect. Instead, it's about acknowledging both the good and the bad, and choosing to focus on the positive aspects that are often overshadowed by stress or negativity. A great example of this comes from the modern world of business. Consider a successful entrepreneur who faces constant challenges, competition, financial risks, setbacks, and more. What sets the most resilient entrepreneurs apart is their ability to stay calm under pressure. And one of the ways they do this is by practicing gratitude. Many successful people begin or end their day by writing down 3 things they're grateful for, no matter how small. This simple practice helps them maintain perspective and resilience, allowing them to face challenges without losing their cool. Can you think of someone in your life who embodies this mindset? How do they handle adversity with such grace and composure? Chances are they practice some form of gratitude, whether they realize it or not. Gratitude is not just a mental exercise, it's also a way of cultivating emotional resilience. When you regularly remind yourself of the good in your life, you build up an emotional buffer that makes it easier to cope with difficulties when they arise. As the Stoics taught, life is unpredictable, and we will all face hardships at one point or another. But by nurturing a sense of gratitude, we equip ourselves with the emotional tools needed to stay calm, even when life doesn't go as planned. Seneca once said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future." Gratitude brings you into the present moment, helping you appreciate what you have now, rather than constantly worrying about what might happen tomorrow. It's a practice that encourages contentment and peace, even in the midst of chaos. In your daily life, how often do you take a moment to express gratitude for the things you have? Whether it's your health, your relationships, or even the simple fact that you have food on the table, there are countless things to be thankful for. The next time you feel yourself getting worked up over something, try this exercise. Pause, take a deep breath, and think of 3 things you're grateful for in that moment. They don't have to be monumental. Maybe it's the support of a loved one, the opportunity to learn something new, or even the fact that you have the strength to face the challenges ahead. This small act of reflection can instantly calm your mind and shift your perspective, allowing you to approach the situation with a clearer, more composed attitude. Let's take a moment to connect this to modern life. In today's world, many of us are constantly chasing after the next big thing: a promotion, more money, a bigger house, or the latest gadget. While there's nothing wrong with ambition, this constant pursuit can leave us feeling unsatisfied and stressed. We start to focus so much on what we don't have that we forget to appreciate what we do have. The practice of gratitude helps break this cycle of dissatisfaction. It reminds us that while it's okay to strive for more, we should never lose sight of the present moment and the blessings that already exist in our lives. How often have you found yourself complaining about things that, in the grand scheme of life, are relatively small? Wouldn't it be more productive and more calming to shift your focus toward what's going well? As you move forward, remember that gratitude is not a one-time practice. It's something that you need to cultivate daily, especially when life feels overwhelming. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Do not indulge in dreams of having what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave for them if they were not yours." This advice is as relevant today as it was in ancient times. When you practice gratitude regularly, you'll find that your capacity for calm and resilience grows. You'll be less reactive to life's stresses and more grounded in the present moment. So, the next time you face a difficult situation, ask yourself, what can I be grateful for right now? The answer may surprise you, and it may just be the key to staying calm in the face of adversity. Gratitude is a powerful and practical way to stay calm in any situation. By shifting your focus from what's wrong to what's right, you not only reduce stress but also increase your emotional resilience. This practice of gratitude, rooted in Stoic philosophy, is a timeless tool that helps you maintain perspective and approach life's challenges with calm and grace. So, as you go about your day, take a moment to reflect on what you're thankful for, and watch how this simple shift in mindset transforms your ability to stay calm, no matter what life throws your way. 4. Live a healthy lifestyle. To live a calm, balanced life, one of the most important aspects is maintaining a healthy lifestyle. The mind and body are interconnected, and without proper care for your body, it's nearly impossible to maintain mental clarity and calmness in the face of life's challenges. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This mastery includes how we care for our physical selves, and by extension, our mental state. If your body is neglected, if you're not eating well, sleeping enough, or getting exercise, how can you expect your mind to remain calm and resilient in times of stress? It's like asking a car to run smoothly on poor fuel. Eventually, it will break down. The Stoics understood that physical health was a critical component of their philosophy. They believed that by living a balanced and disciplined life, they could prepare themselves for the unpredictability of existence. In today's modern world, maintaining a healthy lifestyle can seem more challenging than ever. With the pressures of work, family, and social obligations, many of us struggle to find the time or energy to prioritize our physical well-being. But think about this. How many times have you felt irritable or overly stressed, only to realize that you were running on too little sleep or had skipped meals? It's common, yet it's also something that can be managed by making intentional choices. Maintaining a healthy lifestyle doesn't require drastic changes overnight. It's about integrating small, sustainable habits that, over time, lead to significant improvements in both your physical and mental health. Seneca famously advised, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." When you spend time on improving your health, you're not just adding years to your life, you're enhancing the quality of those years. How many of us waste time being too tired or too unhealthy to truly enjoy the moments of peace we could have? Let's break this down further. Physical exercise is one of the cornerstones of a healthy lifestyle. and has a direct impact on your ability to remain calm under pressure. Exercise doesn't just strengthen your body, it improves your mental clarity and boosts your mood. Research consistently shows that regular physical activity reduces stress, anxiety, and depression, all emotions that make staying calm in difficult situations much harder. When you exercise, your body releases endorphins, which are natural mood lifters. The Stoics often reference the idea of eudaimonia, a state of flourishing and well-being, and exercise is one way to achieve this state. It may be hard to believe, but just 30 minutes of moderate physical activity each day can make a world of difference in how you approach stressful situations. How often do you take time out of your day for your physical health, knowing that it will prepare your mind to be sharper and more resilient? Another key aspect of living a healthy lifestyle is nutrition. What you eat affects not only your body, but your brain too. If you're constantly fueling your body with processed foods high in sugar and unhealthy fats, your energy levels will fluctuate, making it harder to stay focused and calm when challenges arise. A diet rich in whole foods, fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and healthy fats provides your body and brain with the nutrients they need to function optimally. As Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By fueling your body properly, you are giving your mind the best possible foundation to handle stress, think clearly, and remain calm. The old saying, "You are what you eat," rings true here. If you feed yourself junk, your body and mind will respond in kind. When was the last time you really thought about how your diet affects your mood and mental clarity? It's worth considering as part of your journey toward calmness and resilience. Sleep is another often overlooked pillar of a healthy lifestyle. In a society that glorifies hustle culture and sleepless nights, many of us are running on empty, thinking that we can power through on a few hours of sleep. But the truth is, without adequate rest, your brain cannot function at its best. Chronic sleep deprivation leads to irritability, reduced cognitive function, and an inability to regulate emotions, all of which make staying calm in stressful situations nearly impossible. Aristotle once said, "It is well to be up before daybreak, for such habits contribute to health, wealth, and wisdom." While rising early has its benefits, getting enough sleep in general is essential to your well-being. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night, and notice how much better equipped you are to face life's challenges. Have you ever tried dealing with a difficult situation after a night of poor sleep? It's nearly impossible to stay calm and make rational decisions when your brain is begging for rest. Living a healthy lifestyle also extends beyond the basics of diet, exercise, and sleep. It involves maintaining your mental health through practices like mindfulness, meditation, and gratitude. The Stoics were masters of mindfulness long before it became a buzzword in the modern world. They understood that the key to remaining calm in any situation was to focus on what you can control and let go of what you cannot. One way to practice this is through daily meditation or mindfulness exercises, where you set aside a few minutes each day to quiet your mind and focus on the present moment. This helps to build the mental muscles you need to stay calm and composed in the face of adversity. As Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." If you want to be calm and resilient, then practice the habits that will get you there. Mindfulness is one of those habits. How often do you take time out of your day to reflect on your thoughts and emotions, to ground yourself in the present moment? So, how does living a healthy lifestyle tie into Stoicism and staying calm in any situation? The Stoics believed in living in accordance with nature, and part of that is recognizing that our bodies and minds are deeply interconnected. If you neglect your physical health, your mental health will suffer. By taking care of your body, through exercise, good nutrition, sleep, and mindfulness, you are also taking care of your mind. And when your mind is clear, focused, and calm, you are better equipped to handle whatever life throws your way. Life is full of unpredictable challenges, but how you react to them is within your control. By committing to a healthy lifestyle, you are strengthening your ability to stay calm, think clearly, and face adversity with resilience and grace. Living a healthy lifestyle is not just about looking good or feeling energetic. It's about creating a foundation of strength, clarity, and resilience that will help you remain calm in the face of life's challenges. As you move forward on your journey of Stoicism, remember that your physical well-being directly influences your mental and emotional state. Take care of your body and your mind will follow. In the words of Seneca, a sound mind and a sound body is a short but full description of a happy state in this world. So ask yourself today, are you giving your body and mind the care they deserve so that you can remain calm and collected, no matter what comes your way? Thank you for joining us in today's video. Before we move on to the next segment, I want to take a moment to express my gratitude for having you as part of our community. Feel free to share your personal stories or thoughts in the comments. If you're new, just comment, "I am a newbie," or if you've been with us for a while, write, "I am Stoic." Your engagement means a lot and motivates us to keep creating valuable content for you. All right, let's continue this journey together, shall we? 5. Simplify your life. Simplifying your life is one of the most effective ways to stay calm in any situation. In a world that constantly pushes us to do more, have more, and be more, the idea of simplifying can seem counterintuitive. However, the Stoics understood that peace of mind comes not from adding complexity to life, but from removing the unnecessary. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." This quote is a reminder that the pursuit of more, whether it's more material possessions, more achievements, or even more recognition, often leads to stress, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. By simplifying your life, you make room for what truly matters, allowing yourself to remain calm and focused when challenges arise. Think about it. How often do we let the clutter of modern life, both physical and mental, distract us from the things that actually bring us joy and fulfillment? Simplifying isn't about living with less. It's about living with more clarity and purpose. Let's consider a story from modern life that beautifully illustrates this concept. There's a well-known CEO who, despite his immense success, became overwhelmed by the constant demands of running a company, managing multiple properties, and maintaining a lifestyle filled with social obligations. He realized that his life had become overly complicated, and as a result, he was constantly stressed and unable to focus on what truly mattered, both in his personal and professional life. So, he decided to simplify. He downsized his home, delegated more responsibilities at work, and started prioritizing quality time with family and self-care. The result? His stress levels dropped significantly, his decision-making became sharper, and he felt a renewed sense of purpose. This story is a reminder that simplifying doesn't mean giving up success or ambition. It means creating space for the things that matter most. How often do we find ourselves feeling overwhelmed by the sheer volume of things we think we need to manage? Could it be that simplifying our lives might help us regain control? Stoicism teaches us that much of our distress comes from our attachment to things outside of our control. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When we simplify our lives, we reduce the number of things we're attached to, making it easier to remain calm in the face of uncertainty. By letting go of the need for excessive possessions, social validation, or even the pressure to be constantly productive, we create a mental environment where we can focus on what truly matters: our values, relationships, and inner peace. In modern life, this might mean decluttering your home, reducing your social media usage, or learning to say no to obligations that don't align with your priorities. Simplifying your life isn't about doing less, it's about doing what truly matters. How many times have you felt like you're running on a treadmill, trying to keep up with endless tasks that don't bring you joy or fulfillment? Let's take this idea further. Simplification also applies to our mental clutter. We often overload our minds with unnecessary worries, overthinking situations that are beyond our control. The Stoics believed in focusing only on what we can control and letting go of the rest. This principle, when applied to daily life, can be incredibly freeing. How much of your stress comes from worrying about things that you can't influence? Whether it's other people's opinions, external circumstances, or future uncertainties, these are all things that lie outside of our control. Instead of letting these worries cloud your mind, simplifying your mental space means focusing on the present moment and what you can do right now. As Epictetus said, "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them." By practicing mental simplification, you can stay calm, centered, and ready to face whatever comes your way. A practical way to begin simplifying your life is by decluttering both physically and mentally. Start by identifying the areas in your life that feel unnecessarily complicated. Is it your daily routine, filled with too many obligations and tasks? Is it your physical environment, cluttered with possessions you no longer need or use? Or perhaps it's your emotional landscape, burdened with unresolved conflicts or unhealthy relationships. By taking small, intentional steps to simplify these areas, you'll find that your mind begins to feel clearer, and your ability to stay calm under pressure improves. Remember, simplicity doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process of identifying what truly adds value to your life and letting go of the rest. Can you think of one area in your life that feels overly complicated right now? What small steps can you take to simplify it? In the context of relationships, simplifying can mean focusing on quality over quantity. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking we need to maintain a large social circle or be constantly connected to others through technology. But true connection doesn't come from having hundreds of acquaintances. It comes from deep, meaningful relationships with a few key people. When you simplify your social life, you free yourself from the pressure of keeping up appearances or spreading yourself too thin. You focus on nurturing relationships that bring value, support, and genuine connection, which in turn reduces stress and contributes to your overall sense of calm. How often do we find ourselves trying to maintain connections with people who don't add much to our lives? Could simplifying our social circles help us focus on the relationships that truly matter? As you go through life, remember that simplification is not about deprivation. It's about creating space for the things that truly bring you peace and joy. The Stoics believe that a life of simplicity leads to freedom. Freedom from the distractions, pressures, and anxieties that often consume us. By simplifying, you make room for inner peace, clarity, and calm. In the words of Seneca, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." So as you reflect on your own life, ask yourself, where can I simplify? What areas of my life feel unnecessarily complicated, and how can I begin to clear that clutter, both physically and mentally? You might find that by simplifying, you're not losing anything at all. In fact, you're gaining the peace of mind and calm that comes from living a life aligned with your true values. 6. Don't expect anything in return. Another most powerful lessons in Stoicism, and a key to staying calm in any situation, is the principle of not expecting anything in return. It might sound simple, but how often do we get frustrated or disappointed when others don't respond the way we expect them to? This is especially true in modern life, where many of us unknowingly attach strings to our actions, whether it's helping a friend, doing a favor, or simply being kind. We hope for gratitude, acknowledgement, or at least some sort of positive response. But here's the hard truth. When we expect something in return for our actions, we give away our peace of mind. We allow our happiness to depend on the reactions of others, which are often beyond our control. As Epictetus said, "Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well." This Stoic mindset teaches us that calmness comes from acting virtuously without attaching expectations to the outcome. Think about it. How often have you done something for someone, only to feel hurt or frustrated when they didn't reciprocate the way you hoped? What if instead, you could let go of those expectations and feel at peace regardless of their response? Let's take this concept and relate it to a common scenario in today's world. Imagine you're at work, going the extra mile to help a colleague meet a deadline. You put in the effort, stay late, and do your best, expecting that they'll recognize your contribution and return the favor when the time comes. But when you need help, they don't step up, and you're left feeling frustrated, unappreciated, and maybe even resentful. This is the trap of expectations. Stoicism teaches us that by doing good for the sake of being good, without expecting anything in return, we free ourselves from these negative emotions. When you act out of virtue, focusing on what's within your control, you retain your peace of mind regardless of how others behave. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." By removing expectations, you elevate your thoughts, ensuring that your happiness and calm aren't contingent on others. Now let's think about how much stress and frustration we could avoid if we truly embrace this principle. Every day, we interact with people, family, friends, co-workers, and whether we realize it or not, we often carry hidden expectations into these interactions. We expect appreciation, loyalty, or even simple politeness, and when these things aren't given, we react emotionally. But here's the Stoic challenge. Can you act kindly, work diligently, or give generously without expecting anything in return? If you can, you will find an incredible sense of freedom and calm. Epictetus teaches, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Expectations are one of those things beyond our control. You cannot control how others react, but you can control your attitude and your actions. Wouldn't it be empowering to approach your relationships and responsibilities with this mindset? How much lighter would life feel if you stopped worrying about what others owe you in return? This principle of not expecting anything in return doesn't mean you should allow yourself to be taken advantage of or stop caring about mutual respect in relationships. It simply means that your peace of mind should not be dependent on external validation or reciprocation. The more you practice this, the more you realize that doing the right thing is its own reward. You'll begin to take pride in your actions for their intrinsic value, not for what you might get in return. This shift in mindset can drastically reduce the frustration that often comes from unmet expectations. It also aligns with the Stoic concept of focusing on what we can control, our own actions and reactions, rather than on what others do or don't do. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." By acting without expectation, you are brave enough to be free from the emotional chains that bind so many of us to disappointment. In modern life, especially in the age of social media, it's easy to fall into the trap of doing things for external validation, posting photos, sharing achievements, or helping others in a way that seeks likes, comments, or praise. But Stoicism asks us to question why we are doing these things. Are we acting out of virtue, or are we looking for something in return? This isn't to say you should never share your successes or seek recognition, but the Stoic way encourages us to detach from the need for approval. Instead, take pride in your actions because they align with your values, not because someone else might applaud them. Have you ever found yourself feeling disappointed because a post didn't get the response you were hoping for? Or because someone didn't thank you for a favor? How much calmer would you feel if you could release those expectations and simply appreciate your own effort? As we navigate through life, we'll encounter situations where people don't meet our expectations. Maybe a friend doesn't call you back, a family member takes your support for granted, or a colleague overlooks your contribution. The Stoic approach to these moments is to let go of the need for reciprocity. Instead of feeling frustrated or hurt, remind yourself that you acted in accordance with your values and that this, in itself, is enough. When you act without expectation, you are no longer vulnerable to the emotional roller coaster that often comes from depending on others for validation. As Marcus Aurelius wisely observed, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. By letting go of expectations, you gain that strength, and with it, the calm that comes from living according to your principles. The Stoic principle of not expecting anything in return is a powerful tool for cultivating inner peace and staying calm in any situation. When you act virtuously without seeking reward, you free yourself from the emotional burdens of disappointment, frustration, and resentment. You become more resilient, more grounded, and ultimately more content with your life. As you go about your day, consider how often you find yourself expecting something in return for your actions and ask yourself, can I let go of these expectations? The more you practice this, the calmer and more in control you'll feel, regardless of how others behave. And that is the essence of Stoicism, finding strength and peace within yourself no matter what the world throws your way. 7. Learn to live fully in the present. Learning to live fully in the present is one of the most essential Stoic principles when it comes to staying calm in any situation. In today's fast-paced world, our minds often drift toward two extremes: the future, which is filled with uncertainty, or the past, which we can no longer change. This habit can lead to anxiety, stress, and a general sense of dissatisfaction with life. However, Stoicism teaches us that true peace and calmness come from grounding ourselves in the present moment, focusing only on what we can control here and now. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." This advice is timeless because it reminds us that the present is the only place where life truly happens. How often do we find ourselves distracted by worrying about tomorrow or regretting yesterday, missing the opportunity to engage fully with what's happening right in front of us? In modern life, the ability to be present is harder to cultivate than ever. With endless distractions from smartphones, social media, and the constant influx of information, it's easy to become overwhelmed and disconnected from the present moment. But let's think about it. When was the last time you truly paid attention to a conversation without thinking of your next task or mentally scrolling through your to-do list? How often do you sit down to enjoy a meal but end up distracted by emails or notifications? Living fully in the present doesn't mean ignoring your responsibilities or pretending that future plans don't matter. It's about prioritizing where your attention goes at any given moment. As Seneca said, true happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future. The more you train yourself to be present, the less likely you are to get caught up in the whirlwind of what-ifs and maybes that dominate our modern existence. One of the most powerful ways to stay calm in any situation is to practice mindfulness. This involves being fully aware of where you are and what you're doing, without being overly reactive or overwhelmed by what's going on around you. Think of it as mental training. Just as you would train your body to be stronger or more agile, you can train your mind to stay focused and calm. For instance, when you're feeling stressed or anxious, try taking a deep breath and grounding yourself in the present moment. Notice your surroundings, your breath, and your thoughts, but don't let them control you. The Stoics believed that by observing our thoughts rather than becoming them, we gain the power to maintain our composure. Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them." By focusing on the present, you can strip away unnecessary stress and focus on what's within your control. In a world filled with distractions, one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is the ability to fully engage with whatever you're doing at the moment. Whether it's working on a project, spending time with loved ones, or even enjoying a quiet moment of solitude, being present allows you to experience life more fully and with greater calm. When you stop worrying about the future or ruminating over the past, you free your mind from the burdens that prevent you from achieving a state of inner peace. Living fully in the present is not about ignoring the realities of life's challenges, but about facing them with a clear mind and an open heart. Have you ever noticed how much more productive and content you feel when you're not distracted by outside concerns? How much easier is it to handle stressful situations when you're fully present and focused? This principle is especially important when we're dealing with stress or adversity. When faced with a difficult situation, our natural tendency is often to think ahead, wondering what will happen next, how we will cope, or what the outcomes might be. But this type of thinking only adds to our stress because it takes us out of the present moment, where we actually have the power to make decisions and take action. The Stoic approach is to focus on what you can do right now. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This means that instead of being overwhelmed by what lies ahead, we should focus on the present obstacle and use it as an opportunity to practice calmness and resilience. Living fully in the present allows you to face challenges one step at a time without letting the fear of the future derail you. One way to integrate this Stoic principle into your life is to adopt daily mindfulness practices. Start by dedicating a few minutes each day to simply sit and breathe, focusing only on the present moment. During this time, don't judge or analyze your thoughts, just observe them and let them pass. This practice helps you develop the skill of presence, which you can carry with you throughout the day. When challenges arise, instead of reacting impulsively, you'll find it easier to pause, reflect, and respond thoughtfully. Over time, this ability to live fully in the present will help you navigate stressful situations with greater ease and clarity. Have you tried setting aside time to center yourself and focus on the here and now? How might this simple habit help you stay calm, even when life feels chaotic? It's also important to recognize that living in the present doesn't mean ignoring the future altogether. Planning and preparation are necessary, but they shouldn't consume your mind to the point where you lose sight of what's happening right now. The Stoics believed in preparing for the future while still being fully engaged in the present. After all, how can you prepare for tomorrow if you're not paying attention to today? By grounding yourself in the present moment, you become more effective in both your daily tasks and long-term goals. This allows you to approach the future with a sense of calm and confidence, rather than fear and anxiety. What if, instead of worrying about what might happen tomorrow, you focused on doing your best today? How would that change the way you approach your life and your challenges? Learning to live fully in the present is not only a core Stoic principle, but a vital tool for staying calm in any situation. When you stop letting your mind drift to the uncertainties of the future or the regrets of the past, you free yourself to experience life as it truly is, right here, right now. By practicing mindfulness and focusing on what's within your control, you can cultivate a sense of peace and resilience that will help you navigate even the most difficult circumstances. As you go about your day, remind yourself to stay grounded in the present moment. When your mind starts to wander or stress begins to creep in, ask yourself, what can I do right now? The answer may be simple, but the impact on your peace of mind will be profound. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." So live fully in the present and watch as calmness and clarity become your constant companions, no matter what life throws your way. Eight, don't hold on, it's better to let go. One of the key principles of Stoicism and a crucial lesson for staying calm in any situation is learning the art of letting go. In life, we often cling to things, possessions, relationships, expectations, and even emotions that are no longer serving us. We hold on out of fear, out of habit, or because we think we can control the outcome. But the Stoics remind us that much of what we try to control is, in fact, beyond our reach. As Epictetus famously said, "Some things are within our power, while others are not." Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power are body, property, reputation, office, and in a word, whatever is not of our own doing. In simpler terms, we cannot control external events or other people's actions, but we can control how we respond to them. This understanding is central to letting go of what we cannot change and focusing on what truly matters, our inner peace and how we choose to react to life's challenges. Letting go doesn't mean giving up or being indifferent to life. It's about freeing yourself from the burdens that weigh you down, whether it's unrealistic expectations, past mistakes, or the desire to control others. In modern life, this can apply to many areas. How often do we hold on to grudges, replaying old arguments in our minds and wishing things had turned out differently? Or perhaps we hold on to the idea that success and happiness can only be achieved through certain outcomes, and when those don't happen, we become frustrated, anxious, or even resentful. Learning to let go of these attachments is not about lowering your standards or ceasing to care, but about understanding that clinging to things outside of your control only causes suffering. Ask yourself, how many times have you held on to something, a relationship, a job, or a particular outcome, long after it was clear that it wasn't benefiting you? How much more peace could you experience if you allowed yourself to let go? Consider this story from modern life. A professional athlete, after years of dedication, suffers a career-ending injury. Initially, they cling to their identity as a competitor, filled with bitterness and frustration over the loss of what they had worked so hard to achieve. But over time, they learn to let go of that attachment. They realize that their worth isn't tied to their athletic success, and that the injury, while life-changing, doesn't define who they are. By letting go of the past and embracing the present, they discover new opportunities, mentoring others, pursuing different interests, and finding peace in the life they have now. This story is a powerful reminder that letting go is not about giving up on life, but about opening yourself up to new possibilities and accepting the present as it is. What might you be holding on to right now that is keeping you from experiencing the peace that comes from letting go? When we hold on too tightly to the things we want or the outcomes we expect, we create tension within ourselves. This tension makes it harder to remain calm when things don't go our way. We become anxious, angry, or upset when life doesn't follow the script we've written in our minds. But Stoicism teaches us that life is unpredictable, and the more we try to control it, the more frustrated we become. Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This means that our calmness and peace come from within, not from external circumstances. By letting go of our need to control everything, we give ourselves the freedom to respond to life with clarity and resilience. Instead of reacting emotionally to setbacks, we can pause, reflect, and choose a more measured response. Have you ever noticed how much calmer you feel when you stop trying to control everything and instead focus on what you can manage, your thoughts and actions? Letting go is also about accepting impermanence. Everything in life is temporary: people, possessions, successes, and even challenges. The Stoics embrace this concept of impermanence, understanding that by accepting the fleeting nature of life, we can appreciate the present moment more fully and release the anxiety that comes from fearing change or loss. As Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." By clinging to things, we become poor in spirit, constantly wanting more or fearing what we might lose. But when we let go, we become rich in peace, understanding that life's true value lies not in what we possess, but in how we choose to live and respond to its inevitable changes. Think about it. How often do you find yourself stressed because you're worried about losing something you have or not getting something you want? What if you could simply let go of those fears and focus on making the most of what you have right now? Letting go can be especially difficult when it comes to relationships. We hold on to people, not because the relationship is necessarily good for us, but because we fear loneliness or change. However, clinging to relationships that no longer bring joy or growth only drains our emotional energy. Letting go in this context means accepting that not all relationships are meant to last forever, and that it's okay to move on. By letting go of toxic or unfulfilling connections, you make space for new, healthier relationships to enter your life. It's not about shutting people out, but about recognizing when it's time to release something that is no longer serving your well-being. How often do you hold on to relationships out of fear rather than out of genuine connection? How might your life improve if you allowed yourself to let go of relationships that no longer align with your values and goals? In modern life, many of us also struggle with letting go of our attachment to success and achievement. We set high standards for ourselves, and when we don't meet them, we feel like failures. But Stoicism teaches us that success is not defined by external accomplishments but by how we live according to our values. Letting go of the need to constantly achieve or prove ourselves doesn't mean giving up on ambition. It means understanding that our worth is not tied to what we achieve. It's about finding peace in the process, rather than becoming obsessed with the outcome. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This idea applies to all areas of life, not just material wealth. Letting go of our endless wants allows us to find contentment and calmness in the present, regardless of whether we've achieved every goal we've set. The lesson of letting go is about finding freedom. Freedom from the expectations, attachments, and fears that hold us back from living fully in the present. When you let go, you release yourself from the emotional burdens that keep you from experiencing true peace. Life becomes lighter, less stressful, and more manageable. As you go about your day, ask yourself, what am I holding on to that no longer serves me? What could I let go of to create more space for peace and calm in my life? The answers may surprise you, and the act of letting go may be the key to unlocking a deeper sense of freedom and tranquility. As you practice this Stoic principle, remember the words of Marcus Aurelius. Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. Let go of what you cannot control, and you'll discover a calmness that no external event can take away. If you've made it this far, you're mastering the art of calm. Drop a comment saying, "I am calm and centered," to show your commitment to this Stoic journey. Stick around. There's more wisdom ahead. 9. Practice meditation. Meditation is one of the most practical tools for maintaining calmness in any situation, and it aligns perfectly with the principles of Stoicism. In today's fast-paced world, we are bombarded with constant distractions and external pressures, making it harder to stay present and centered. Practicing meditation is a way to pause, reflect, and regain control over your thoughts, emotions, and reactions. As Epictetus famously said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Meditation helps you achieve this mastery by creating space in your mind, allowing you to observe your thoughts without judgment and choose how to respond rather than react impulsively. It's about taking a step back from the chaos and cultivating inner peace even in the most stressful circumstances. How often do we let our minds race with worries about the future or regrets about the past? By practicing meditation, we train ourselves to focus on the present moment, which is where true calmness and control reside. Meditation doesn't have to be complicated. It's not about achieving some mystical state of enlightenment. It's about training your mind to stay focused and grounded in the here and now. The Stoics were masters of this kind of mindfulness. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, would often meditate on his thoughts and actions, reflecting on how to live virtuously. He once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This quote highlights the power of the mind and how meditation can help you sharpen that power. When you meditate, you become more aware of your thoughts, which in turn allows you to choose better ones. Instead of being swept away by stress or negative emotions, you can pause, observe, and let go of the thoughts that don't serve you. Have you ever noticed how much calmer you feel when you're fully present in a moment, free from distractions? That's the essence of meditation, and it's something anyone can practice. In modern life, meditation has become more important than ever. With endless notifications, social media, and the constant pressure to perform, our minds are often scattered, jumping from one thought to another without any real focus. Meditation offers a way to break free from this mental clutter. It's like hitting the reset button on your brain, giving you the clarity to handle life's challenges with more composure. By practicing meditation regularly, even for just a few minutes a day, you strengthen your ability to stay calm under pressure. It's no surprise that many high-performing individuals, from CEOs to athletes, have adopted meditation as part of their daily routine. They understand that mental clarity is just as important as physical strength when it comes to achieving success. How would your life change if you took just 5 minutes each day to sit quietly and focus on your breath? What if you could start every day with a calm, focused mind, rather than rushing into the chaos? Meditation is also a powerful tool for managing emotions. When we face stressful situations, it's easy to let our emotions take over. We might react with anger, frustration, or anxiety, all of which only make the situation worse. But when you meditate, you learn to observe your emotions without being controlled by them. You develop the ability to acknowledge your feelings without letting them dictate your actions. This is a key Stoic principle, understanding that while we may not be able to control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. As Marcus Aurelius put it, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Meditation helps you build this strength, making it easier to stay calm and composed, even when life throws unexpected challenges your way. How often do you find yourself reacting impulsively to stressful situations? How much more in control would you feel if you could pause, take a breath, and choose your response? One of the most common misconceptions about meditation is that it requires sitting still for long periods or that you have to clear your mind completely. But that's not the case. Meditation is more about awareness than stillness. You don't need to block out all thoughts. You simply need to observe them without getting caught up in them. It's perfectly normal for your mind to wander during meditation. That's part of the practice. Each time you notice your mind drifting, gently bring your focus back to your breath or whatever anchor you're using. Over time, this practice strengthens your mental discipline, much like exercising a muscle. Just as you wouldn't expect to lift heavy weights on your first day at the gym, don't expect to be a master of meditation immediately. It takes practice, but the benefits, calmness, clarity, and emotional resilience are well worth the effort. Can you think of a time when you reacted emotionally and later wished you had taken a moment to pause? Meditation gives you that pause, allowing you to respond thoughtfully rather than react emotionally. Incorporating meditation into your daily life doesn't require any special equipment or a significant time commitment. You can meditate anywhere, at your desk, on the bus, or even during a walk. The key is consistency. Start with just a few minutes a day and gradually increase the time as you become more comfortable with the practice. You might find that meditating in the morning sets a calm tone for the rest of your day, or that meditating before bed helps you unwind and sleep better. The Stoics were known for their nightly reflections, where they would meditate on their actions from the day and consider how they could improve. This practice not only helped them stay calm but also allowed them to live more intentionally. How might your life improve if you took a few minutes each day to reflect on your thoughts and actions? Meditation is about more than just staying calm. It's about mastering your mind. When you can control your thoughts, you can control your life. The Stoics understood that external events will always be unpredictable, but by training the mind through meditation, you can maintain your inner peace no matter what happens. As you go about your day, remember that you have the power to choose how you respond to every situation. Meditation is the tool that helps you access that power. So why not give it a try? Take a few moments today to sit quietly, breathe deeply, and observe your thoughts. See how this simple practice can bring more calm and clarity into your life. And as Epictetus reminds us, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. Let meditation be the practice that helps you make that choice day after day. Constructive criticism. Constructive criticism is one of the most powerful tools you can use to grow and stay calm in any situation, especially when you're learning to apply Stoic principles to your life. Many people shy away from criticism, seeing it as a personal attack, but Stoicism teaches us to embrace feedback as an opportunity for improvement. As Epictetus once said, "If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, 'He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned only these.'" This quote highlights the Stoic approach to criticism. Instead of becoming defensive, we should take criticism as a chance to reflect on our weaknesses and use it to become better versions of ourselves. The moment you stop seeing criticism as an attack and start viewing it as a form of guidance, you gain the power to stay calm, grow, and remain resilient no matter what others say. In modern life, whether in your professional or personal relationships, criticism is inevitable. But the key difference between those who crumble under it and those who thrive is how they respond. Many of us immediately put up walls when someone points out a flaw or suggests we could improve in some way. Our ego kicks in, and we start to feel offended or hurt. But as the Stoics teach, ego is the enemy of growth. Marcus Aurelius, in his reflections, reminded himself frequently, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Criticism is an external event, something you cannot always control, but how you react to it is entirely up to you. When you allow your ego to dictate your response, you're letting external forces control your inner peace. But when you approach criticism with an open mind, seeking to learn rather than defend, you take control of the situation and transform it into something constructive. Think about a time when someone gave you feedback that stung. Maybe a boss pointed out a mistake at work, or a friend commented on something they didn't like about your behavior. In the moment, it's easy to feel that rush of defensiveness, as if your entire character is being questioned. But what if, instead of taking it personally, you saw the feedback for what it is, a tool for self-improvement? Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, said, "It is a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness." Sometimes criticism is part of that rough road, but if you face it with the right mindset, it will lead you to grow and improve in ways you didn't expect. How many opportunities have you missed because you let criticism hurt your pride instead of letting it fuel your growth? It's important to remember that not all criticism is created equal. Some feedback is constructive, meant to help you improve, while other criticism might be rooted in someone else's negativity or insecurities. The Stoic approach teaches you to filter what's useful and discard what isn't. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." This means that not every criticism is a reflection of reality. Part of growing through feedback is learning how to discern the difference. When someone gives you constructive criticism, take the time to reflect on it. Ask yourself, is there truth to what they're saying? If there is, make a plan for how to improve. If the criticism feels more like a personal attack or is not helpful, acknowledge it and move on. But never let destructive criticism disrupt your inner peace. Instead, use it as an opportunity to practice patience and resilience, understanding that other people's opinions do not define your worth. In a modern work environment, for instance, you'll often receive performance reviews or feedback from your superiors or peers. These situations can be tense, especially if the criticism feels harsh. But imagine how much more effective you could be if, instead of dreading feedback, you approached it with curiosity, seeking ways to learn from it. Leaders who embrace constructive criticism are more respected, more adaptable, and ultimately more successful. They know that their progress depends on their ability to see their own blind spots. Instead of seeing this as an attack, consider it an act of care. If someone is willing to give you honest feedback, it's likely because they want to help you grow or see you succeed. As Epictetus taught, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When you respond to personal criticism with openness, you not only improve yourself, but also build deeper, more trusting relationships. People respect those who can take feedback in stride and are willing to make changes for the better. Can you think of a time when personal feedback helped you improve? How would your relationships change if you embraced constructive criticism more openly? It's also worth noting that Stoicism teaches the value of giving constructive criticism. Just as we must learn to accept feedback with grace, we should also strive to give it in a way that helps others grow. Criticism should never be about tearing someone down or proving superiority. It should be delivered with kindness and the genuine desire to help someone improve. As Marcus Aurelius advised, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This means leading by example, offering feedback that builds others up rather than breaks them down. In your own life, how can you offer constructive criticism to those around you in a way that encourages growth rather than defensiveness? 11. Solve your basic needs. One of the fundamental principles of staying calm in any situation, according to Stoicism, is ensuring that your basic needs are met. It might sound simple, but often the source of our anxiety or stress can be traced back to an unmet need, whether it's physical, emotional, or psychological. Stoics believe that before you can achieve higher-level thinking or emotional control, you must first address the essentials of life. As Epictetus once said, wealth consists not in having great possessions but in having few wants. This idea is crucial when it comes to managing stress. Often the chaos in our minds is amplified by unmet needs or an overcomplication of life's basics. By focusing on what's truly necessary for your well-being, adequate food, shelter, rest, and emotional support, you create a foundation of stability that allows you to approach challenges with a calm and clear mind. How often do we overlook the basics thinking we can push through discomfort, only to find that our stress builds up over time? In modern life, it's easy to get caught up in a cycle of overwork, multitasking, and constant distraction. Many people find themselves running on empty, skipping meals, getting too little sleep, or neglecting their mental health, believing that productivity and success require sacrifice. But what happens when you neglect these basic needs for too long? The Stoics understood that without a stable foundation, it's nearly impossible to maintain mental clarity or emotional calm. Just as a house built on a weak foundation will eventually collapse, a person who neglects their basic needs will find it difficult to remain composed in the face of adversity. So ask yourself, are you taking care of the fundamentals? Are you eating well, sleeping enough, and giving yourself time to recharge? By addressing these needs, you equip yourself with the energy and resilience to face life's challenges head-on. Let's take a common example from modern life. The entrepreneur or high-level executive who works long hours, skipping meals, cutting down on sleep, and constantly pushing themselves to perform. On the surface, this may look like dedication, but over time, the toll on the body and mind becomes undeniable. They may start feeling irritable, stressed, and overwhelmed. Small problems become big issues because their foundation is crumbling. Eventually, burnout sets in, and the ability to think clearly or remain calm disappears. But this situation can be prevented. If that person took the time to meet their basic needs, eating healthy meals, getting enough rest, and setting boundaries around work, they would find that their mind is clearer, their stress levels lower, and they can handle challenges with far more ease. Have you ever noticed how much harder it is to stay calm when you're hungry, tired, or feeling emotionally depleted? This brings us to an important lesson in Stoicism. Calmness is not about suppressing emotions or pretending that everything is fine. It's about creating the conditions in your life that allow you to respond to stress from a place of strength and stability. The Stoics believed that by controlling what we can, such as meeting our basic needs, we reduce unnecessary stress and free up mental energy for more meaningful pursuits. 12. Accept your imperfections. Accepting your imperfections is one of the most essential yet challenging steps to finding calm in any situation, especially when viewed through the lens of Stoicism. In a world that constantly tells us to strive for perfection, to always be better, faster, stronger, it can be easy to fall into the trap of self-criticism. We often compare ourselves to others, measuring our worth against unrealistic standards, whether it's in our work, our relationships, or even our appearance. But Stoicism teaches us a different lesson, that perfection is an illusion, and true strength lies in acknowledging and embracing our imperfections. As Epictetus once said, "A man should so live that his happiness shall depend as little as possible on external things." This includes the idea of external perfection. Real happiness and calm come from within, from accepting who we are with all our flaws, and knowing that our value isn't diminished by our imperfections but enhanced by how we handle them. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself stressed or anxious because you didn't meet a certain standard? Maybe it was at work, where you felt like you should have performed better, or in a relationship where you felt like you weren't being the ideal partner. These moments are common, and they can lead to a lot of internal turmoil if you don't approach them with the right mindset. But what if instead of striving for an impossible ideal, you took a moment to accept that imperfection is part of being human? Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, said it best. "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." This advice doesn't just apply to external circumstances or people, it applies to yourself as well. Accepting your imperfections doesn't mean you stop trying to improve. It means you stop letting the pursuit of perfection rob you of your peace. Modern life is filled with pressures to be perfect. Social media only adds to this, with images of success, beauty, and happiness being constantly displayed as the ideal. We see others at their best and compare ourselves at our worst, forgetting that perfection is rarely, if ever, the reality. But accepting imperfections, both your own and those of others, can bring a profound sense of relief and calm. When you embrace the fact that you don't have to be flawless to be valuable, you free yourself from the constant stress of trying to be someone you're not. In your daily life, can you recall moments when striving for perfection actually created more anxiety than it solved? What would happen if you allowed yourself to be imperfect, just as you are? Let's take a story from modern life to illustrate this. Think of a professional who constantly strives to be perfect at work, never missing a deadline, always delivering flawless reports, and seeking constant approval from their peers and superiors. This person is celebrated for their attention to detail and their dedication, but over time, the pressure to maintain that level of perfection takes its toll. They begin to burn out, stress levels rise, and mistakes, which were once rare, become more frequent. The more they push for perfection, the more distant it becomes, and the result is frustration and exhaustion. But then something changes. They start to accept that making mistakes is part of growth. They realize that it's not about being perfect, but about learning and adapting. This shift in mindset brings relief. They start asking for help when needed, taking breaks when necessary, and allowing themselves to be human. As a result, their performance doesn't suffer. In fact, it improves because they're no longer paralyzed by the fear of failure. This story is a reminder. Accepting your imperfections also means accepting that others are imperfect too. We often place high expectations on the people around us, expecting them to behave in ways that align with our own ideals. When they inevitably fail to meet those expectations, it can lead to frustration, disappointment, and conflict. But part of finding peace is learning to accept that just as you are not perfect, neither is anyone else. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You will meet bad people, but it's your reaction that matters." This quote encourages us to focus on what we can control, our own reactions, rather than wasting energy trying to change or fix others. When you embrace imperfection in others, you become more compassionate, patient, and understanding, which in turn reduces the stress and anxiety that come from unmet expectations. Think about a time when you were frustrated with someone's behavior. How might your response have changed if you accepted their imperfections instead of trying to change them? In today's world, accepting imperfection is a radical act. We are taught to constantly strive for more success, more wealth, more recognition. But the truth is, the pursuit of perfection often leads to a sense of inadequacy, because no matter how much we achieve, there's always something more to be done. The Stoics understood that while self-improvement is important, it must come from a place of acceptance, not from a place of chasing an impossible ideal. By accepting your flaws and limitations, you can approach self-growth from a position of peace rather than frustration. You begin to realize that your worth is not tied to perfection but to how you handle imperfection. Have you been too hard on yourself lately, holding yourself to impossible standards? What if you gave yourself permission to be imperfect? Thank you for staying with me until the end of this valuable lesson on how to stay calm in any situation. If you've made it this far, comment, "Live and let live" below, so I'll know who the real winners are. Don't forget to like this video, share it with others who may benefit, and subscribe to Stoic in your life. Also, make sure to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming videos. I can't wait to hear your success stories. Be sure to check out the 2 recommended videos coming up, and as always, thank you for your time and support. See you on the next adventure. Life lessons you should understand before you are 60. Stoicism. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Be Marcus Aurelius. Are you prepared to confront the hard truths? Because this video isn't for those seeking comfort in illusions. Today we're diving into the essential life lessons you must grasp before hitting 60. Truths life will serve you without asking for permission. Reality waits for no one, and neither will these lessons. If you're waiting for the right moment, let me tell you, it doesn't exist. Life, as Stoicism teaches us, isn't about avoiding challenges but how we respond to them. These lessons are the roadmap to living with purpose and strength, no matter what age. Lesson number 10. It's going to change the way you look at your life entirely. But first, if you appreciate the wisdom of Stoicism, subscribe to Stoic in your life, and hit the bell icon to stay connected. You won't want to miss any of these powerful insights. 1. Life won't wait for you. Time is like a river. You cannot touch the same water twice, because the flow that has passed will never pass again. Marcus Aurelius. Life doesn't wait for anyone. It moves forward relentlessly, whether you're ready or not. The truth is, time doesn't pause while you sort out your plans, your fears, or your doubts. Many people make the mistake of waiting for the perfect moment to act, whether it's starting a new venture, mending a relationship, or even taking a much-needed step towards self-improvement. But here's the harsh reality. That perfect moment? It doesn't exist. Life won't stand still while you wait to feel prepared. It continues on. And if you're not moving with it, you're falling behind. As Seneca wisely said, while we waste our time hesitating and postponing, life is slipping away. So instead of waiting, act now. Procrastination is the enemy of progress, and the more you wait, the more opportunities slip through your fingers. The lesson here is simple. Stop waiting for life to happen to you, and start making life happen for you. Every moment you hesitate is a moment lost, a moment you'll never get back. Life is happening right now, not tomorrow, not next week, but at this very moment. And the sooner you embrace this truth, the more fulfilling your life will be. As you approach 60, this becomes even more crucial. Many men in their 30s, 40s, and 50s believe they still have plenty of time to accomplish their dreams. But here's the kicker. Time is finite. You don't have as much of it as you think. Think of life as a marathon, but one with an uncertain finish line. You can't predict when your race will end, but you can control how you run it. Waiting until the end of the race to sprint is a mistake. You need to start living fully now. The ancient Stoics remind us that you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Marcus Aurelius. This isn't meant to scare you, but to inspire urgency. Waiting for the right circumstances, for the stars to align, will only leave you with regret when the finish line suddenly appears. Remember that life is a series of lessons, not a destination. Each day offers a new opportunity to learn, grow, and become a better version of yourself. The Stoics believed that wisdom is a lifelong pursuit, and it's never too late to start. Whether you're 30, 40, or approaching 60, there's always something to be gained from embracing the wisdom of the Stoics. 2. The world moves on, no matter what. The world doesn't stop for anyone, and that's a fact we all need to come to terms with sooner rather than later. Whether you're facing a personal crisis, a career change, or just the ups and downs of life, the world keeps moving forward. Life doesn't pause for you to catch up, get your footing, or figure things out. And that's not meant to scare you. It's meant to empower you. So often, we fall into the trap of thinking that our struggles or setbacks are unique, that we are somehow stuck while everyone else is moving forward with ease. But the truth is, everyone faces challenges. The difference between those who thrive and those who fall behind is how they respond to the world continuing to move, whether they choose to adapt or remain stuck. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it, that matters." This truth is especially relevant as you get older, approaching milestones like 60, where reflection becomes natural, and the question of how much time we have left becomes more pressing. But here's the thing. No matter how much we reflect or worry, the world continues to spin. The sun rises and sets, new opportunities emerge, and new challenges arise. You have the choice to either keep up or get left behind. What are you choosing? Consider a modern story that resonates with this lesson. Think of someone you know, or maybe it's even yourself, who faced a significant setback, like losing a job late in life or facing a health scare. It's natural to feel like the world should stop when something major happens. But what you quickly realize is that the bills still come, your responsibilities don't disappear, and the world around you keeps moving forward. Take, for example, someone who loses their job at 55, thinking they are too old to start over. They could easily give in to despair, thinking the world has passed them by, that they missed their chance. But what happens if they shift their mindset? What if they recognize that while the world keeps moving, so can they? They adapt, they learn new skills, they pivot, and suddenly, that setback becomes an opportunity for growth. They may even find a new career path that brings them more joy than they ever experienced before. How often have you seen people who, instead of staying stuck, use adversity as a stepping stone? "He who is not courageous enough to take risks will accomplish nothing in life," said Muhammad Ali, and this is the essence of growth in a constantly moving world. You can't wait for things to be perfect or for the world to slow down. You must learn to move with it. The Stoics teach us that change is the only constant, and resisting that change only leads to frustration. Think about how this applies to your own life. Have there been times when you wished you could pause everything and just take a breath to stop the world from spinning so fast? We all have. But the key is understanding that while we can't stop time, we can make the most of the time we have. One of the most profound lessons you can learn before you turn 60 is this. Life moves whether you're ready or not. So why not prepare yourself to move with it? How often do we let fear, hesitation, or comfort hold us back? We convince ourselves that we'll wait until tomorrow or next week or next year. But as Seneca said, life is long if you know how to use it. The truth is we have more time than we think, but only if we stop wasting it. When the world moves on, it's not just about keeping up with external events. It's about personal growth as well. How do you handle change in your own life? Do you cling to the past, wishing things would stay the same? Or do you embrace the flow of life and see where it takes you? This doesn't mean you should constantly chase after the next big thing, but rather, you should remain adaptable and open to the new experiences life presents. Take a moment and ask yourself, where in your life are you resisting change? What would happen if you stopped fighting the current and learned to swim with it instead? The lessons of Stoicism remind us that much of our suffering comes from wanting things to be different from how they are. Marcus Aurelius said it best. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. As you continue to live and grow, especially as you approach significant milestones like turning 60, understand that the world's pace doesn't have to be your enemy. In fact, it can be your greatest teacher. Every day presents new opportunities for learning, for improvement, and for self-reflection. The key is to stop waiting for the world to align with your expectations and instead align yourself with the flow of life. This doesn't mean you give up control. It means you focus on the things you can control, your attitude, your actions, and your responses to what life throws at you. The world moves on, yes, but so can you. And in moving forward, you not only keep pace with life, but you also find yourself growing stronger and more resilient with each step. What would your life look like if you fully embraced this mindset? The most valuable lesson here is that the world will never stop moving, but that's not something to fear. It's something to embrace. The more you resist, the more you struggle. The more you adapt and flow with the changes around you, the more you'll find peace and progress. Whether you're 30, 40, or approaching 60, there's never a better time than now to recognize that life's momentum is your opportunity, not your obstacle. Keep moving forward, stay adaptable, and trust in your ability to navigate whatever comes your way. Because in the end, it's not the world's pace that matters. It's how you choose to walk your path within it. 3. Create your dream, or build someone else's. Creating your dream or building someone else's is one of the most important life lessons you should understand before turning 60, and it's something we don't often think about early enough. The reality is, if you don't have a clear vision for your own life, you'll inevitably end up living someone else's vision. This is the essence of what it means to take control of your destiny. If you don't set your own goals, if you don't dream big for yourself, you'll find yourself working hard to fulfill the dreams of others. Whether it's your boss, a company, or even society's expectations of what your life should look like. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This is a simple yet profound call to action. Define your purpose before you allow the world to define it for you. What are you working toward? What kind of life are you building? It's time to get clear, because if you don't, the world will make that decision for you. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you found yourself putting in countless hours at work, pursuing goals that, when you stop and reflect, don't really belong to you? Maybe you're working to make a company more successful or helping someone else achieve their ambitions, while your own dreams remain on the back burner. It's easy to fall into this trap. Society encourages us to play it safe, to take the path of least resistance, and before we know it, we're so far down that road that turning back feels impossible. But here's the thing. It's never too late to start building your own dream. What do you truly want out of life? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? If you're unsure, that's okay. But what's not okay is to keep drifting along, letting others dictate the course of your life. As Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. In other words, stop debating and start doing. The world will always pull you in different directions, but it's up to you to choose which direction you want to go. Consider this story. There was a man who worked for the same company for 40 years. He was diligent, reliable, and worked his way up the ladder, helping the business grow and succeed. But when he retired, he realized something shocking. He had spent his entire life building someone else's dream. The business flourished, but he had neglected his own passions, his own aspirations. This man's story is a cautionary tale for all of us. If you don't create your own dream, you'll spend your life helping someone else build theirs. What about you? Have you thought about whether you're on the path of creating your dream, or are you just part of someone else's vision? It's important to note that building your own dream doesn't mean quitting your job tomorrow or making drastic changes overnight. It starts with small, intentional steps. The first step is awareness, becoming conscious of where you are and where you want to go. Once you're aware, you can start to make decisions that align with your goals and dreams. Maybe it's pursuing a passion project in your spare time, starting a side business, or simply reevaluating how you spend your days. It could even mean shifting your mindset so that your current job becomes a tool to help you achieve your personal goals, rather than a life sentence to building someone else's empire. The key is to take control, to be the architect of your own life. Ask yourself, what steps can you take today to begin building your own dream? The Stoics believed in taking responsibility for one's own life and recognizing that while we can't control everything, we can always control our choices. As Seneca wisely said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Too many people reach their later years filled with regret, wishing they had done more, taken more risks, pursued what truly mattered to them. Don't let that be you. The world moves fast, and if you're not careful, you'll find yourself looking back, wondering where the time went and why you didn't chase the dreams that once set your soul on fire. So, where does that leave us? The choice is yours. Will you create your dream, or will you continue to build someone else's? There's no right or wrong answer, but there is a cost to every decision. Building your own dream requires effort, courage, and persistence. It means stepping outside your comfort zone, facing your fears, and taking risks. But the reward? Living a life of purpose and fulfillment, knowing that you spent your time on this earth pursuing something that truly mattered to you. On the other hand, building someone else's dream may feel safer in the short term, but in the long run it often leads to regret and a sense of unfulfilled potential. It's all about priorities. What matters most to you? What are you willing to sacrifice to create the life you want? The Stoic approach to life teaches us that we are in control of our thoughts, our actions, and ultimately, our destiny. We may not be able to control external events, but we can always control how we respond to them and what we choose to focus on. As you approach milestones like turning 60, or whatever stage of life you're in, it's crucial to take stock of where you are and where you want to go. Are you on the path of creating your dream? Or are you simply a cog in someone else's machine? There's no better time than now to take control of your life and start building something meaningful. The lesson is clear. Create your dream or build someone else's. The choice is yours, and the time to act is now. Don't let life pass you by while you're busy making someone else's vision a reality. You have the power, the talent, and the potential to create something truly great. But it starts with a decision to prioritize your own dreams and to take the necessary steps to bring them to life. As you move forward, keep the words of Marcus Aurelius in mind. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Choose to think big, choose to act, and most importantly, choose to create a life that is truly your own. 4. Achieve quietly, celebrate alone. In today's world, it often seems like success doesn't count unless everyone knows about it. Social media is full of people flaunting their wins, from career promotions to personal achievements, yet this need for external validation can diminish the true essence of success. Stoicism teaches us that the greatest victories are internal and need no applause from the crowd. The moment you focus on achieving for the sake of approval, You lose sight of the intrinsic value of your work. As Epictetus wisely said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." Meaning, those who boast loudly of their achievements often miss the opportunity to grow because they think they've already made it. The lesson here is to focus on your personal journey. Achieve quietly. The satisfaction of working towards a goal, overcoming challenges, and growing as a person should be its own reward. Life is not a performance to be judged by others, and chasing praise will only lead to emptiness. In the end, you should ask yourself, who are you really working for? Is it for the applause of the crowd, or is it for your own fulfillment? There's a certain dignity in quiet success. When you achieve for yourself, you free yourself from the need for validation and approval. This doesn't mean you shouldn't feel pride in your accomplishments, but it does mean that you should derive your satisfaction from the effort, growth, and results themselves, not from the acknowledgement of others. In modern life, we are constantly bombarded by the expectation to broadcast every moment of success. Whether it's a job promotion or personal milestone, we feel pressured to share it with the world, almost as if our success isn't real unless it's publicly acknowledged. But that's a falsehood. In reality, the most profound achievements are often those that happen when no one is watching. They are the victories you win over yourself, when you push past fear, doubt, and insecurity. "He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior," said Confucius. It's these personal battles that define true success, not the number of likes or congratulations you receive. Think of the person who works in silence, improving day by day, compared to the one who seeks constant recognition. The former builds a life of substance, while the latter becomes dependent on external validation to feel worthy. A modern-day example of this is the athlete who trains for years, waking up early, pushing their body to its limits with no one watching. Their victories are made in those silent hours of discipline and sweat, not in the few moments they stand on the podium. The quiet daily effort is where success is truly forged. When you achieve quietly, you cultivate a deeper sense of self-respect and discipline, knowing that you're doing the work for the right reasons. And when the success finally comes, you can celebrate it alone, not because you don't want to share it, but because you no longer need to. The celebration becomes a personal moment of reflection, where you acknowledge the effort, the struggle, and the growth, rather than seeking others' approval. In the words of Seneca, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Craving constant validation from others keeps you trapped in a cycle of seeking external rewards, rather than the true wealth of inner satisfaction. This principle can be applied in your everyday life, especially as you approach significant milestones like turning 60. At this point in life, many people realize that the validation they once sought from others no longer holds the same value. They start to reflect on their lives and question whether they were living for themselves or for the expectations of others. If you're always looking for recognition, you're handing over the reins of your happiness to external forces. True freedom comes when you learn to achieve quietly and celebrate alone because you're no longer tethered to the approval of others. Ask yourself, how many of your goals are driven by the desire to be seen or acknowledged? What would happen if you pursued your dreams purely for the satisfaction of personal growth, without the need for anyone else to recognize your success? Would you still find joy in your accomplishments? Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, and what you can control is your own effort, your own attitude, and how you respond to the world. Whether others notice or not is irrelevant. What matters is that you notice. What matters? Don't explain your philosophy, embody it, said Epictetus, and that's the heart of quiet achievement. Don't talk about your plans and goals. Live them. Don't seek to prove anything to anyone but yourself. The moment you stop seeking validation from the outside world is the moment you truly step into your power. You become the creator of your own success, free from the opinions and judgments of others. There's immense power in knowing that you are enough, that your efforts and your growth are valid, even if no one else sees them. And when you do finally achieve those goals, you don't need to make a spectacle of it. Celebrating alone is not about isolation. It's about internal acknowledgement. It's about pausing and reflecting on how far you've come, understanding the growth that's happened within you. The best victories are those that change you from the inside out, the ones that no one else needs to witness because you've already felt their impact. To be even-minded is the greatest virtue, once said Heraclitus, reminding us that the peace of mind we gain from internal achievement is far more valuable than any external celebration. So next time you achieve something significant, resist the urge to seek out applause. Sit with it, reflect on it, and recognize the power of accomplishing for yourself. There's a quiet strength in this kind of achievement, a strength that allows you to remain grounded, focused, and always moving forward. When you celebrate alone, it's not about solitude, it's about independence. You've proven to yourself that you are enough, that your efforts matter, and that you don't need anyone else to validate your success. What could be more powerful than that? Remember, life is not about making noise, it's about making progress. Achieve quietly, celebrate alone, and know that in doing so, you are living according to the highest Stoic principles, free from the need for external praise and full of inner contentment. Thank you for joining us in today's video. Before we move on to the next segment, I'd like to take a moment to express my gratitude to you. It's a pleasure to have you as a member of our community. Please feel free to share your story or personal impressions. Alternatively, if you're unsure of what to say, simply leave a comment saying "I am a newbie" if you've just joined us, or "I am Stoic" if you've been with us for a while. Your engagement not only signifies your presence, but also serves as a significant motivation for us. All right, let's continue this journey together to the 5th lesson. 5. Don't regret your past. The past cannot be changed, but the present can be shaped. Marcus Aurelius. One of the most important lessons to understand as you approach 60 or even earlier in life is this: don't regret your past. Regret can weigh heavily on the mind, causing us to lose focus on what we can control, the present and the future. It's easy to look back and think about missed opportunities, mistakes, or roads not taken, but regret doesn't serve you in any productive way. In fact, regret is one of the most pointless emotions because it fixates on something you can't change. Instead, as the Stoics remind us, you should focus on what you can change, your actions moving forward. As Seneca said, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. This quote speaks to the idea that even the chapters you wish you could rewrite have value because they brought you to where you are today. The past, with all its ups and downs, was necessary for your growth. So why spend time regretting it when you can use those lessons to build a better future? Consider a modern story. A man in his 50s looks back on his life and feels deep regret for not pursuing his passion for art. He chose a stable career in finance, thinking that it was the responsible choice. But now he wonders if it was worth it. His regret weighs on him, and he feels like it's too late to change anything. But here's the truth. It's never too late to start something new. Instead of regretting the years he spent in finance, he can take the lessons he learned, discipline, financial stability, networking, and apply them to a new phase of life. Perhaps now, with more experience and security, he's in a better position to follow his passion for art than he would have been in his 20s. The Stoics remind us that we must focus on what is within our control, and time is never wasted if we learn from it. Ask yourself, what would you do differently if you stopped regretting the past and started focusing on how you can grow from it? Regret can often cloud our ability to see the present clearly. We're so busy thinking about how things could have gone differently that we miss out on the opportunities right in front of us. The Stoics believed in the power of living in the present moment. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." This means that your actions, not your thoughts about the past, are what define you. The regrets you hold on to are merely thoughts. They have no power unless you give them power. The key is to take those thoughts and use them as fuel to make better choices today. What would happen if you forgave yourself for the mistakes of your past? How much lighter would you feel if you let go of the weight of regret and embraced the idea that your past was simply part of the journey to becoming who you are now? It's important to remember that everyone makes mistakes. Regret often stems from the unrealistic expectation that we should have known better. But how could we? At each point in life, we're making the best decisions we can with the information we have. The mistakes you've made were necessary for your growth. In fact, some of the greatest achievements in life come from learning from failure. Think about someone like Steve Jobs, who was fired from the company he founded, only to come back and turn Apple into one of the most successful companies in the world. He could have regretted his missteps and let that regret define him. Instead, he used that failure as a stepping stone to future success. Regret doesn't have to hold you back. It can propel you forward, as long as you choose to learn from it. A key question to ask yourself is, what have I gained from my past experiences, and how can I use those lessons to improve my future? When you shift your focus from regret to reflection, you start to see the value in your past mistakes. The Stoics believed that every experience, good or bad, shapes who we are. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the obstacles we face, including the mistakes we regret, become the path to growth. If you spend all your energy wishing you could change the past, you miss out on the opportunity to use those very obstacles to advance in life. Let's think about this in terms of your own life. What regrets have been holding you back? Perhaps it's a failed relationship, a missed opportunity, or a career move that didn't pan out. Instead of focusing on how things could have been different, ask yourself what you've learned from those experiences. Maybe that failed relationship taught you what you truly need in a partner, or maybe that missed opportunity made you realize what you really value in life. The more you reflect on the lessons of the past, the more empowered you become to create a better future. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca once said, and this is particularly true when it comes to regret. We often blow our past mistakes out of proportion, thinking they define us when in reality they are just small parts of a much larger picture. As you approach 60, or whatever stage of life you're in, one of the most freeing things you can do is let go of regret. Life is too short to dwell on what you can't change. Instead, focus on what you can do today to live the life you want. Regret doesn't have to be a chain that holds you back. It can be a tool that helps you move forward, as long as you're willing to shift your perspective. Every experience has value, even the ones you wish had gone differently. The Stoics teach us that the only thing we truly have control over is our response to life's events. You can't change the past, but you can choose how you interpret it and what you do moving forward. The lesson here is simple but profound. Don't regret your past. Instead, learn from it, grow from it, and use it as a stepping stone to a better future. The time you spend regretting is time you could be using to build something new. So the next time you catch yourself thinking about what could have been, ask yourself instead, what can I do today to shape what's to come? Let go of regret, embrace the present, and remember the words of Marcus Aurelius. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Stop letting your past hold you back and start using it to propel you forward. Your best years are not behind you. They are still ahead if you choose to live without regret. 6. Strive to improve daily. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult. Seneca. One of the most profound lessons you should understand before turning 60 is the importance of daily self-improvement. Life, at its core, is about growth. If you're not growing, you're stagnating, and stagnation is a form of slow decline. The key to a fulfilling and meaningful life lies in the pursuit of bettering yourself each day. This doesn't mean you need to make massive, life-altering changes all at once. Instead, it's about the small, consistent actions that lead to real transformation over time. As you age, especially approaching 60, the need for continuous improvement becomes even more vital. Why? Because life isn't about reaching a final destination where everything is perfect. It's about the journey, the progress, and the steps you take to become a better version of yourself. Ask yourself, what are you doing today that's bringing you closer to the person you want to become? Improvement isn't always about learning new skills or advancing in your career. It's about becoming wiser, more resilient, and more in tune with who you are. Many people think that self-improvement is for the young, that after a certain age, growth slows down. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Improvement is a lifelong process. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This reminds us that even challenges, especially challenges, are opportunities to improve. As you face the inevitable struggles that come with life, particularly in your later years, they become a chance to reflect, learn, and grow stronger. Think of all the experiences you've had, the lessons you've learned. How can you use those lessons today to continue improving? Let's take a moment to relate this to modern life. Think about someone in their 50s or 60s who, despite the pressures of aging, remains dedicated to personal growth. They may have reached a level of success in their career, raised children, or built a life for themselves, but they aren't resting on their laurels. Instead, they're still setting goals, whether it's learning a new hobby, improving their health, or developing a deeper understanding of themselves. This is the mindset of someone who understands the value of daily self-improvement. The moment you think you've reached your peak is the moment you start to decline. Why settle for less when you have the potential to keep growing? It's important to realize that improvement doesn't have to be dramatic to be meaningful. The Stoics emphasized the importance of incremental progress. Small changes done consistently lead to big results. Think about it this way. If you improve by just 1% every day by the end of the year, you will be 37 times better than you were at the start. This concept applies to all areas of life, whether it's your physical health, mental well-being, relationships, or career. Every day offers an opportunity to improve, even if only in small ways. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Mastery over your own mind and habits is the ultimate form of freedom, and it is achieved through daily discipline and improvement. What's one small thing you can do today that your future self will thank you for? A powerful example of daily self-improvement can be found in the life of Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years in prison, a place where it would have been easy to lose hope or fall into despair. But instead, Mandela used that time to improve himself, mentally and spiritually. He read, he studied, and he prepared himself for the day he would be released. When that day came, he emerged not as a bitter man, but as a leader ready to forgive and build a better future. This is the power of self-improvement. It transforms not only your circumstances, but your very being. Mandela's story teaches us that even in the darkest of times, there is always room for growth. How can you use the challenges in your life as a stepping stone for your own improvement? Self-improvement isn't just about achieving personal goals. It's also about becoming more compassionate, understanding, and present in the world around you. The Stoics believe that we are all part of a larger community, and that our individual growth contributes to the betterment of society as a whole. Marcus Aurelius said, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings no benefit to the bee." This reminds us that when we improve ourselves, we also improve the lives of those around us. Whether it's being a better partner, a more supportive friend, or a wiser mentor, your personal growth has a ripple effect on the people you interact with. What kind of impact do you want to leave on the world, and how can your daily actions bring you closer to that? One key aspect of self-improvement is reflection. Take time each day to reflect on your actions, your thoughts, and your progress. The Stoics practice this through daily journaling and self-examination. At the end of each day, Marcus Aurelius would reflect on what he did, what he could have done better, and how he could improve tomorrow. This simple practice is something you can incorporate into your life. It helps you stay accountable to your goals and keeps you mindful of the areas where you can grow. How often do you take the time to truly reflect on your day? If you're not making time for reflection, how can you know if you're improving? The lesson is clear. Never stop striving to improve. Whether you're 30 or 60, there is always room for growth. The pursuit of self-improvement is not just a task to check off your to-do list. It's a way of life, a mindset that keeps you moving forward. It's about understanding that perfection is not the goal, but progress is. As you continue your journey in life, remember that each day is a new opportunity to become a little bit better than you were yesterday. So, what will you do today to ensure that you're growing? Will you take that small step even if it seems insignificant, knowing that it's part of a larger path to self-mastery? As the Stoics teach us, true wisdom comes not from being the best, but from striving to be better. Let this guide you as you embrace the power of daily improvement. 7. Free yourself from others' advice. If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them, and it is in your power to wipe out that judgment now. Marcus Aurelius. One of the most liberating lessons you must understand before turning 60 is learning how to free yourself from others' advice. Throughout your life, you've probably received countless pieces of advice from friends, family, co-workers, and even strangers. While some of it may have been helpful, a lot of it likely wasn't. As you approach later stages in life, it's crucial to discern whose advice truly benefits you and whose does not. More importantly, it's essential to develop the confidence and wisdom to trust your own judgment, rather than constantly seeking external validation. The Stoics remind us that we are the masters of our own minds, and to live a life shaped by the opinions of others is to lose control over the most fundamental aspect of our existence, our own thoughts and choices. What would your life look like if you stopped letting other people's opinions dictate your path? We live in a world where everyone has an opinion. Whether it's advice on your career, relationships, or how you should live your life, people are always ready to tell you what they think is best for you. But here's the thing. Nobody knows your life as intimately as you do. It's easy to get caught up in what others think you should do, especially when it comes from well-meaning sources like family or close friends. However, there's a difference between listening to advice and being bound by it. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "We are disturbed not by things, but by the views which we take of them." This means that it's not the advice itself that causes confusion or frustration, but how we interpret and internalize it. If you constantly seek others' approval or rely too heavily on their guidance, you end up living a life that is not truly yours. What would happen if you trusted your own instincts and learned to silence the noise from those around you? In modern life, with access to so much information and the ability to communicate with people around the globe, the noise of others' opinions has never been louder. Whether it's advice from social media influencers, news articles, or even the opinions of your peers, it can become overwhelming. And the more you listen to everyone else, the more disconnected you become from your own inner voice. At some point, you need to ask yourself, whose life are you living? Yours or someone else's? This doesn't mean that all advice is bad or that you should never seek guidance. In fact, seeking wisdom from those who have more experience can be valuable. But the key is learning how to filter that advice, take what serves you, and discard the rest. You don't need to follow every piece of advice that comes your way. In fact, doing so can cause more harm than good, leading to indecision and confusion. How often have you felt paralyzed by trying to weigh all the opinions you've received instead of simply trusting your own judgment? Think about someone who has spent their whole life following the advice of others, whether it was choosing a career they weren't passionate about because it was considered stable, or entering a relationship because it was what others expected of them. Over time, they may find themselves unfulfilled, wondering why they don't feel satisfied despite seemingly doing all the right things. That's because they were living someone else's dream not their own. When you base your life on the expectations and advice of others, you risk losing touch with what you truly want. The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have, said Epictetus. And this applies to advice as well. The more weight you give to external opinions, the less control you have over your own decisions. A powerful example of this can be seen in the life of Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple. He famously said, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life." Jobs was known for his fierce independence and belief in following his own vision, even when others doubted him. Imagine if he had listened to the naysayers, to those who thought his ideas were too radical or that he should conform to the expectations of the tech industry. Apple, as we know it today, might not even exist. This isn't to say that you should ignore all advice, but rather that you should be selective about whose guidance you follow and when to rely on your own intuition. What's one decision in your life where you relied on others' advice instead of your own gut feeling? And how would things have turned out differently if you had trusted yourself? The truth is, no one else is living your life. Only you know your desires, your strengths, your limitations, and your dreams. While others may mean well, their advice often comes from their own experiences, biases, and fears. What worked for someone else may not necessarily work for you. That's why it's crucial to cultivate the ability to listen to yourself, to trust that you are capable of making the best decisions for your own life. This doesn't mean you'll always be right, but it does mean you'll be living a life that's true to who you are, rather than constantly trying to meet the expectations of others. Ask yourself, how much of your current life is a result of following someone else's advice, and how much of it is a result of following your own path? Ultimately, freeing yourself from others' advice is about learning to trust yourself. It's about recognizing that while guidance can be useful, you are the final authority in your life. It's your decisions, your actions, and your experiences that shape who you are. As you approach 60, or whatever stage of life you're in, it becomes even more important to live authentically. You've gained enough life experience to know what works for you and what doesn't. You don't need the constant input of others to validate your choices. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." In other words, your thoughts shape your reality, so make sure those thoughts are truly your own and not a reflection of others' opinions. Free yourself from the need to constantly seek or rely on others' advice. Trust that you are capable of making the best decisions for your own life. Learn to listen to your inner voice, filter the advice you receive, and only keep what truly serves you. At the end of the day, you are the one who will live with the consequences of your choices, not those who offered advice along the way. So why not take ownership of your life and live it according to your terms? What's one piece of advice you've been given that you're ready to let go of? Now is the time to start trusting yourself and create a life that reflects your true desires, free from the opinions and judgments of others. If you've made it this far, you're on the path to wisdom. Drop a comment saying, "I am growing every day," to show you're committed to embracing these life lessons. Stay tuned, there's more insight ahead. 8. Control your emotions. Controlling your emotions is one of the most important life lessons you must master before you turn 60, or even earlier. Stoicism teaches us that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can always control how we react. It's easy to feel that emotions like anger, fear, and frustration are things that happen to us, but the truth is, we allow them to take control when we forget our power over our reactions. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said it best. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is the heart of emotional control. Life will throw countless challenges your way, from personal failures to difficult relationships to unexpected tragedies. But your emotions don't have to rule you. The real strength lies in how you respond to those challenges with grace, poise, and clarity of thought. How different would your life be if you were able to master your emotions instead of letting them master you? We live in a world where emotional reactions are often celebrated. In moments of stress or conflict, people tend to lash out. letting their emotions dictate their behavior, and it's even seen as a sign of authenticity. However, losing control of your emotions doesn't solve anything. It only makes things worse. Let's think about a modern-day example. In the workplace, you may have a boss who constantly pushes your buttons, a colleague who undermines you, or a situation where stress levels run high. It's natural to feel anger or frustration, but what happens when you let those emotions take over? You snap, say something you regret, or make decisions clouded by those feelings. But if you're able to step back, pause, and control your emotional response, the outcome is completely different. You maintain your professionalism, think clearly, and handle the situation with maturity. What if you applied this same control to all areas of your life, especially in your personal relationships? Stoicism teaches that emotions are neither good nor bad in themselves, but it's how we handle them that matters. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is crucial. It's not about denying or suppressing emotions, it's about acknowledging them, understanding their root, and choosing not to let them dictate your actions. Anger, for example, often arises from feeling disrespected or threatened. Instead of letting that anger consume you, a Stoic would take a moment to reflect, ask why they are feeling this way, and then decide how to respond in a way that aligns with their values and long-term goals. This doesn't mean you don't feel emotions, it means you don't let them control you. How often do you let emotions drive your actions, only to regret it later? What would change if you took a moment to breathe and respond instead of react? Consider the story of Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychologist who famously wrote about the power of choice in extreme situations. In the concentration camps, Frankl realized that while he couldn't control the horrific circumstances around him, he could control his internal response. He chose to find meaning even in suffering, and that gave him strength. This is a profound example of emotional control in the most unimaginable circumstances. While most of us won't face such extreme conditions, the principle remains the same. You always have the choice to control your reaction, no matter how intense the situation may be. Whether it's losing a job, dealing with personal loss, or navigating everyday stressors, you can decide whether to let your emotions overpower you or to channel them productively. How different would your life look if you took control of your emotions like Frankl did in his darkest moments? In modern life, emotional control is often misunderstood as emotional suppression. Some people believe that controlling your emotions means bottling them up and pretending they don't exist. But this is far from the truth. Emotional control is about acknowledging your feelings without being overwhelmed by them. It's about being self-aware enough to recognize when an emotion is rising and then using reason to guide your response. This is a skill that can be learned and practiced daily. When you feel frustration bubbling up because someone cuts you off in traffic, or anxiety creeping in before a big presentation, stop for a moment and ask yourself, what is within my control here? You can't control the actions of others, but you can control your reaction to them. You can choose peace over anger, calm over panic, and patience over frustration. What is one area of your life where you could start practicing more emotional control? The Stoics believe that true freedom comes from mastering your emotions because once you have control over how you react to life's challenges, external circumstances lose their power over you. As Seneca put it, a wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not. This quote speaks to the heart of emotional control, accepting things as they are without letting your desires, frustrations, or fears take over. It's a mindset of resilience and inner peace. Whether you're dealing with a difficult relationship, financial worries, or even the physical challenges of aging, controlling your emotions allows you to face those challenges with clarity and calmness. Instead of reacting impulsively and later regretting it, you respond thoughtfully, making choices that align with your true values. Isn't that a better way to live? As you approach 60, or whatever stage of life you're in, learning to control your emotions is a vital skill that brings immense peace and wisdom. You've probably faced enough emotional turmoil by now to know that reacting impulsively rarely leads to good outcomes. Whether it's snapping at a loved one, making a rash financial decision out of fear, or letting stress dictate your health, uncontrolled emotions can lead you down paths you'd rather avoid. But it's never too late to start practicing emotional control. The next time you feel a strong emotion rising, pause, reflect, and ask yourself, is this emotion helping or hurting me right now? That simple question can shift your mindset and put you back in control. How much more peaceful would your life be if you consistently practiced this? The specific lesson here is clear. Control your emotions. Don't let them control you. This doesn't mean becoming emotionless or detached, but rather becoming emotionally intelligent, knowing when to act, when to pause, and when to let go. Life is full of unexpected challenges and difficult situations, but your emotional response is always within your control. By mastering this, you free yourself from the chaos of external circumstances and gain the clarity and strength to live a life aligned with your true values. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Choose to think clearly, act calmly, and let your emotions serve you rather than rule you. What would your life look like if you truly mastered your emotions? And how much more peaceful could your days be if you practiced this daily? Let this be your guide as you move forward, controlling your emotions and finding the freedom that comes with it. 9. Admire, don't envy others. Admiring others is one of the most powerful lessons you should understand before you turn 60, or really at any age. It's natural to look at the people around you, those who have achieved great success, who seem to have it all together, and feel a sense of envy. Maybe you see someone who's made it in their career, or a friend with a seemingly perfect family life, or even a person who travels the world while you're tied to your daily routine. But here's the truth. Envy only takes away from your own life. It diminishes your self-worth and makes you focus on what you lack, instead of what you have or can build. The Stoics understood this well. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." This speaks directly to the core of envy. It's the endless craving for what others have that blinds us to our own potential and blessings. What would your life look like if instead of feeling envious, you learned to admire others and use their success as inspiration for your own growth? Let's take a step back and really think about it. When you admire someone's accomplishments, you're not diminishing your own. In fact, by seeing someone else's achievements as something to learn from, you're enriching your own experience. Envy, on the other hand, creates a negative mindset that traps you in feelings of inadequacy. It makes you believe that someone else's success somehow takes away from your own potential. But this is a false narrative. Everyone's journey is different, and the success of others doesn't lessen your value. In modern life, especially with social media, it's easy to fall into the comparison trap. You see people sharing their highlights, their vacations, their promotions, their picture-perfect moments, and you start to feel like you're falling behind. But remember, what you see is only a small slice of their life. You don't know the challenges they've faced, the sacrifices they've made, or the struggles they hide behind their success. So, why waste energy envying them? Why not admire their perseverance and let it inspire your own efforts? Admiring others opens the door to learning. When you feel envy, it clouds your ability to learn from those you envy. But when you admire, you're acknowledging that someone has done something well, and you can learn from that. Let's consider a practical example. Imagine you have a colleague who consistently performs well at work and gets promoted. Instead of feeling resentful or envious, you can admire their work ethic and learn from their habits. Maybe they're highly organized, disciplined, or always willing to go the extra mile. What can you take from their approach to improve your own performance? Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." By shifting your mindset from envy to admiration, you open yourself up to growth. What if you started seeing the success of others not as a threat, but as a source of motivation to improve yourself? Envy also creates unnecessary competition, And the truth is, life isn't a race. There's no finish line where one person's success diminishes the potential for someone else's. Yet many of us fall into the trap of thinking that there's a limited amount of success in the world, that if someone else achieves something, it somehow blocks our own path to success. But success is not a zero-sum game. There's enough to go around. The Stoics believed that we should focus on our own path, rather than worrying about what others are doing. As Epictetus once said, "Keep your attention focused entirely on what is truly your own concern, and be clear that what belongs to others is their business and none of yours." So instead of wasting time envying others, why not focus on improving your own journey? What is something you could achieve if you stopped comparing yourself to others and put all your energy into your own growth? Here's a story that illustrates this well. There were two runners who trained for years to qualify for a marathon. One runner always compared himself to others, constantly feeling envious of those who ran faster, who seemed to have better gear, or who received more praise. The other runner focused solely on his own improvement, admiring others' strengths without letting it distract him from his personal goals. On the day of the race, it was the second runner who performed better, not because he was the fastest, but because he had been competing against himself all along, pushing himself to be better every day. The first runner, weighed down by envy, had spent so much time comparing himself to others that he never fully focused on his own training. This story teaches us that admiring others while staying committed to our own journey brings more success and fulfillment. What would happen if you focused on your race instead of someone else's? By the time you're nearing 60 or whatever stage you're in, you've likely had your share of successes and failures. You've seen others rise and fall, and perhaps you've even felt envy for the achievements of those around you. But think about it. Has envy ever truly benefited you? Has it ever made you feel better or more fulfilled? The answer is likely no. Envy is a thief of joy and a distraction from what really matters, your own growth and happiness. When you learn to admire others instead of envying them, you free yourself from this toxic cycle. You become more focused on your own goals, and you develop a sense of gratitude for the journey you're on. Every success you achieve, no matter how small, becomes a step forward in your personal growth. What's one area of your life where you can start practicing admiration over envy? In conclusion, the lesson here is simple yet transformative. Admire, don't envy others. When you admire, you open yourself to learning, to growth, and to gratitude. When you envy, you close yourself off to all of these things and focus on what you lack instead of what you can achieve. The success of others is not a threat to your own potential. It's an opportunity for you to be inspired. As you move forward in life, especially as you approach milestones like 60, take a step back and ask yourself, how can I admire the achievements of others and use them as fuel for my own growth? By shifting your mindset, you not only free yourself from the burden of envy, but you also pave the way for your own success and fulfillment. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, when you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. That privilege includes the ability to admire others, to learn from them, and to continue growing on your own unique path. So who can you admire today, and how will you let their success inspire you on your journey? 10. Find inner peace. He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe. Marcus Aurelius. So much of modern life is chaotic, rushed schedules, constant notifications, external pressures, and the never-ending chase for more. Yet none of this truly satisfies. The Stoics believed that peace doesn't come from what's happening around you, but from what's happening inside you. This means no matter what challenges or turbulence you face in life, you have the power to cultivate calm within. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what would my life look like if I could find peace amidst the noise? The concept of inner peace is often misunderstood. Many think that peace is something that can be found in external conditions, like when you've achieved financial stability, a perfect relationship, or the right balance between work and leisure. But as the Stoics remind us, external circumstances are always in flux. Seneca once said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." This speaks to the heart of inner peace. It's about being content with where you are, no matter what the outside world throws at you. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond. That's where your power lies. How often have you thought that if only one more thing fell into place, then you'd finally feel at peace? What if the peace you're looking for is something you can create for yourself right now, regardless of your circumstances? In our fast-paced world, the pressure to be constantly moving, achieving, and doing more can pull us further away from peace. We live in a culture that values productivity over presence, where we often mistake busyness for success. But peace isn't found in how much you accomplish. It's found in the quiet moments of stillness when you let go of the need to control everything. Inner peace requires you to detach from the constant pursuit of external validation and find contentment in the present moment. The Stoics practiced this by focusing on what they could control, their thoughts, actions, and responses, and letting go of everything else. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Inner peace, then, is a choice. It's a decision to focus on the things within your control and release the rest. What would change in your life if you decided to stop worrying about the things you can't control? Let's think about this in the context of modern life. How many times have you felt stressed or anxious because of things completely outside your control? Maybe it's the economy, a difficult boss, or a family situation that's causing you distress. These are real challenges, but your peace doesn't have to be tied to these circumstances. Inner peace comes when you accept that while you can't change every situation, you can change how you respond to it. It's about cultivating a mindset of resilience and calm no matter what's happening around you. In many ways, inner peace is like building a strong foundation for your life. No matter how rough the storms get, that foundation keeps you grounded. But this foundation isn't something that appears overnight. It's built through daily practices of mindfulness, gratitude, and acceptance. What's one area of your life where you've been chasing external solutions instead of focusing on cultivating inner peace? Consider the story of Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years in prison under harsh conditions, separated from his family, stripped of his freedom, and faced with unimaginable hardship. Yet, during this time, Mandela worked on himself internally. He didn't allow bitterness or anger to consume him. Instead, he found peace within, even in the most unjust circumstances. When he was finally released, he emerged not as a man full of hatred, but as a leader ready to bring peace to a divided nation. Mandela's story teaches us that peace isn't something you wait for the world to hand you. It's something you create from within. And if Mandela could find inner peace in those conditions, what's stopping you from finding peace in your life right now? Stoicism teaches that peace comes from aligning your thoughts and actions with your values. When you live according to your true principles, there's a sense of harmony between who you are and how you behave. This alignment brings inner peace because you're no longer at war with yourself. Many of us feel internal conflict because we know we're not living in accordance with what we truly believe. Maybe you're in a job that doesn't align with your values, or you're behaving in ways that don't reflect your true character. This disconnect creates unrest within. The way to find peace is to bring your actions into alignment with your values. Ask yourself, are you living in a way that honors who you really are? If not, what steps can you take to change that? True peace comes when there's no dissonance between who you want to be and how you're living. As you approach 60 or whatever age you are, finding inner peace becomes even more important. You've experienced enough of life to know that external achievements, while fulfilling in the short term, don't bring lasting peace. That comes from within. It comes from letting go of the need to control everything and accepting life as it unfolds. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. So, what thoughts are you cultivating each day? Are you filling your mind with worry and stress about things outside your control? Or are you focusing on the things you can change? Your mindset, your attitude, your actions? The specific lesson here is that finding inner peace is about embracing the power you have over your own mind. It's not about waiting for the world to calm down or for everything in your life to be perfect. It's about learning to be calm in the midst of life's storms. Inner peace is something you cultivate through mindfulness, through aligning your actions with your values, and through letting go of the things that are beyond your control. As you move forward in life, ask yourself, what's keeping me from peace? Is it something external? Or is it my own reaction to those external things? By shifting your focus inward, you can begin to build a deep sense of calm and contentment that stays with you, no matter what life throws your way. And isn't that the ultimate goal? To find peace that isn't dependent on circumstances, but is rooted deep within you? As you reflect on these life lessons, remember that Stoicism isn't just a philosophy. It's a way of living that helps you grow stronger, wiser, and more content, no matter your age. So why not start applying these principles to your daily life today? Whether you're facing challenges, searching for peace, or simply trying to be a better version of yourself, these lessons are here to guide you. Take action now and share in the comments how you're going to incorporate Stoicism into your life. If you made it this far, type "stronger every day" in the comments to let me know you're committed to your personal growth. Don't forget to subscribe to Stoic in your life, hit the notification bell, and join our community of thinkers and doers. Let's keep growing together. See you in the next video. You will never be respected unless you remove these 6 habits from your life. Stoic philosophy. Welcome back to Stoic in Your Life, where we dive deep into the philosophy of Stoicism to help you live a life of purpose, strength, and wisdom. Today, we're going to address a hard truth. Respect is something you have to earn, and it starts with removing habits that are quietly sabotaging your life. You see, many people spend their whole lives chasing respect from others, bending over backward to please everyone, yet they never quite get it. Why? Because respect isn't about how much you do for others. It's about the habits you live by every single day. Now, I'm going to be brutally honest here. If you're holding on to these 6 toxic habits, it doesn't matter how much you try to improve, you won't be respected by others, or more importantly, by yourself. You can work tirelessly, you can be generous, you can be agreeable, but if these behaviors linger in your life, they'll always drag you down. In this video, we're going to break down these 6 habits that you might not even realize are affecting your life. But trust me, if you want to be truly respected, both by yourself and by others, you need to get rid of these behaviors once and for all. It's not going to be easy, but the path to earning respect always starts with tough decisions and discipline. So, are you ready to take control of your life and become the person who commands respect through action and mindset? Let's get started. Habit number 1, always making excuses. If you seek tranquility, do less. Or more accurately, do what's essential. Marcus Aurelius. Respect, as we all know, isn't something given freely. It's earned through consistency, accountability, and actions that demonstrate your integrity. But here's the harsh truth. There are some habits that will keep respect perpetually out of your reach. And the first one we need to address is the habit of always making excuses. Let me tell you, if you're stuck in the habit of making excuses, you're sabotaging yourself from ever being respected by others, or even yourself. The moment you start making excuses, you stop taking control of your life. Whether you're late to a meeting and blame it on traffic, or you don't finish a project because your coworker didn't get you the information on time, you're not being accountable. And here's the reality. No one cares about your excuses. People respect results, not reasons. Think about it. When was the last time you admired someone because they had a great excuse for why they failed to deliver? Exactly. Respect is earned when people see that you are reliable, and that you can deliver despite the challenges that come your way. I've been there. I used to be the king of excuses. I would blame external circumstances, traffic, someone else's mistake, or simply, life happens. I figured as long as I had a valid reason, people would understand. But over time, I started noticing that people saw me as unreliable. I lost out on opportunities at work, friends stopped depending on me, and my family began subtly distancing themselves. I couldn't understand why. It wasn't until someone bluntly told me, "Why didn't you just leave earlier?" that I realized excuses weren't protecting me, they were undermining me. Each excuse I made was a small step toward losing the respect of those around me. Excuses don't make you look responsible. They make you look like someone who can't handle their own life. The world doesn't care about why you didn't succeed. It only cares whether you did or not. As hard as that sounds, it's a liberating truth. Because once you realize that nobody owes you understanding or leniency, you start to take control of your life. You stop blaming the world and start owning your actions. That's when things change. Respect comes from showing that you're in control of yourself, that you're accountable, and that you take responsibility for what happens in your life. It's not about avoiding mistakes. It's about owning them when they happen. Consider this. Every time you make an excuse, you're effectively saying, "I'm not in control of my life." And if you don't believe you're in control, why should anyone else believe in you? This is the heart of the matter. Respect is not just something others give you, it's something you give yourself by being responsible, accountable, and disciplined. You can't expect others to respect you if you're constantly handing out excuses, because excuses are just a form of avoiding the truth. You can't build respect on a foundation of avoidance. Now, think about modern life. We're surrounded by reasons to make excuses. Our jobs are demanding, traffic is terrible, family commitments can be overwhelming. But successful people, respected people, don't let those things define them. They find a way to rise above it. They own their mistakes and their circumstances, rather than letting those circumstances control them. The next time you're tempted to blame the traffic, the weather, or your coworker for something going wrong, pause. Ask yourself, is this excuse really going to help me gain respect? Or is it just protecting me from facing the truth? One of the hardest things to accept is that you can't control everything, but you can always control how you respond. And that's the essence of Stoicism, focusing on what you can control and letting go of the rest. Making excuses is the opposite of that. It's trying to control the uncontrollable by shifting blame. But here's a powerful truth. When you stop making excuses, you regain control of your life. You become the kind of person who commands respect, not because you're perfect, but because you're honest about your imperfections and you're willing to do something about them. As Epictetus wisely said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You can't always control what happens, but you can control whether you take responsibility or make excuses. And people respect those who take responsibility. They respect those who, instead of complaining about the rain, bring an umbrella. They respect those who, when they're late, don't spin a story, but simply say, "I should have planned better." Ultimately, it's about being reliable, both to others and to yourself. If you want to be respected, you have to stop lying to yourself before you can expect others to trust you. Every excuse you make is a small betrayal of your own potential, and the world can see it. But when you own up to your mistakes and take responsibility for your actions, even if you fail, people will respect you for it. More importantly, you'll respect yourself. And that's where true respect begins, with self-respect. So the next time you're about to make an excuse, stop. Ask yourself, am I taking responsibility here? Am I owning my life? Or am I blaming circumstances? The path to respect is not easy, but it's simple. Take control, own your actions, and don't let excuses stand in your way. In doing so, you'll not only earn the respect of others, but more importantly, you'll earn the respect of the person who matters most, you. Habit number 2, being lazy. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Seneca. Now let me be brutally honest. If laziness is a part of your life, don't expect respect from others, and truthfully, you won't deserve it. It might sound harsh, but the reality is that no one respects potential alone. They respect action. You can have all the dreams and talent in the world, but if you're sitting back, doing nothing, you're wasting it all. Think about it. When was the last time you admired someone simply because they had potential? People respect those who show up, put in the effort, and make things happen. Laziness, on the other hand, is the clearest sign of wasted opportunity, and it's visible to everyone around you. I used to be one of those people who believed I could slide by on my natural abilities. I was smart, capable, and I knew I could get decent results even without giving my best effort. For a while, that worked, or so I thought. But here's what I missed. No one actually respected me for it. Sure, they might say, "Oh, he's talented." But deep down, they knew I wasn't living up to my potential. Why? Because laziness isn't just about a lack of ability. It's about a lack of effort. And it's effort, not just talent, that earns respect. I remember a specific incident that really opened my eyes. I was part of a group project, and while everyone else was pulling their weight, putting in the work, I figured I could contribute the bare minimum and still get by. I assumed my smarts would carry me through, but when we presented, it was obvious who had put in the effort, and it wasn't me. The looks of subtle disappointment from my teammates hit me hard. They were no longer looking at me as someone capable or reliable. I hadn't just let them down. I had let myself down. That's the thing about laziness. It's not just about what you do. It's about how you make others feel. People notice when you're not contributing, and they lose respect for you because laziness is, at its core, a form of self-sabotage. You might think no one notices when you slack off, but they do. People can tell when you're coasting, when you're not giving your best, and when you're cutting corners. Laziness is one of the most visible traits because it reflects in everything you do. It's in your posture, your tone, and the way you approach challenges. And here's the kicker. Laziness is contagious. When you're not pulling your weight, it drags others down. People stop expecting much from you, and once expectations are low, respect is gone. If people don't expect you to work hard, take responsibility, or rise to the occasion, they stop seeing you as someone valuable. Let me share another story. In my earlier years, I worked with someone who was the epitome of effort. They weren't the most talented person in the room, but they were always the one working the hardest. They never took shortcuts, never avoided the hard tasks, and always showed up, even on days when they clearly didn't feel like it. And you know what? Everyone respected them. Not because they were the smartest or the most talented, but because they had grit. They showed that respect is earned through consistent effort, not just flashes of brilliance. Contrast that with another colleague who was incredibly talented but always looking for the easy way out. They did just enough to get by, never went the extra mile, and always had an excuse for why they couldn't do more. Over time, people stopped relying on them. They weren't given leadership opportunities or trusted with important responsibilities. Why? Because talent without effort is meaningless. It's the ones who show persistence, who take on the hard challenges, and who keep pushing forward that earn the respect of others. This brings us to a critical point. Laziness is a mindset. It's not just about being tired or unmotivated. It's about convincing yourself that you can coast, that you don't need to push yourself because you're talented enough to get by. But that's a lie. Every time you choose laziness, you're choosing to stay small. You're choosing comfort over growth. And people respect growth. They respect those who push past their limits and show that they're willing to put in the effort, no matter how talented they are. Think about modern life. We live in a world where distractions are everywhere. It's easy to get comfortable, to avoid hard work, and to settle for less than what we're capable of. But the people who succeed, the ones who are respected, are those who resist the temptation of laziness. They're the ones who put in the work, even when it's hard, even when they don't feel like it. They understand that success isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the hardest working. As Epictetus said, no great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. Success and respect take time and effort. So ask yourself, are you putting in the work? Are you pushing yourself? Or are you coasting on your natural abilities? The truth is, people can tell. They can see when you're not giving your best, and they will treat you accordingly. If you're lazy, don't expect to be trusted with big responsibilities. Don't expect people to see you as a leader. Respect is earned through action, through effort, and through a willingness to push beyond what's comfortable. Here's the lesson. If you want to be respected, you need to stop being lazy. You need to show up, take on the challenges, and put in the work. It's not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. You can't hide laziness. It will always show. But the good news is, you can choose to break free from it. You can decide right now that you're going to put in the effort, that you're going to push yourself, and that you're going to earn the respect you deserve. Habit number 3, neglecting your personal appearance. Care for your mind and body. They are the vessels through which you experience life. Marcus Aurelius. Now, let me tell you something people might not want to admit. How you present yourself says far more than you think. If you're neglecting your personal appearance, you're missing out on the respect you deserve. And here's the uncomfortable truth. People won't take you seriously if it looks like you don't take yourself seriously. I know you might be thinking, but isn't it shallow to judge someone based on their appearance? Sure, it may sound superficial, but appearance is much more than just vanity. It's about self-respect. When you put effort into how you look, it shows that you value yourself and your interactions with others. If you don't respect yourself, how can you expect anyone else to? I used to be the kind of person who didn't put much thought into appearance. I would tell myself that people should care more about who I am than what I look like, so I'd throw on whatever was lying around and go about my day. I convinced myself I was being authentic, but looking back, I was just being lazy. And you know what? It showed. People didn't take me seriously. In meetings, my ideas didn't carry much weight, and I didn't command the attention of the room. It wasn't because of my ideas or abilities. It was because I didn't present myself like someone worth listening to. There was one moment that really opened my eyes. I remember showing up to an important event wearing wrinkled clothes, my hair a mess, and looking like I hadn't put any effort into myself. The moment I walked in, I could sense the shift in how people responded to me. Their eyes passed over me. Their conversations were brief, and it was clear that I wasn't being taken seriously. It had nothing to do with my capabilities, but everything to do with the fact that I looked like someone who didn't care. Meanwhile, those who dressed well, groomed themselves, and showed up with confidence, commanded the room with ease. That experience made me realize something essential. Neglecting your personal appearance sends a message to the world that you don't respect yourself enough to put in the effort. Think about it. When you see someone who looks disheveled and unkempt, what's the first thought that comes to mind? Probably something like, this person doesn't care. And if they don't care about their appearance, you assume they won't care about other important things like their work, relationships, or responsibilities. On the other hand, when someone walks into a room looking well-groomed and put together, they immediately set a tone of respect. People naturally gravitate toward those who show effort, and in turn, they are more likely to trust and listen to them. As harsh as it might sound, first impressions matter, and those impressions are largely shaped by how you present yourself. The key message here is this. Personal appearance is a form of nonverbal communication. It tells the world, I respect myself, and I take this seriously. When you show up looking your best, it signals to others that you value yourself, and in doing so, you encourage them to value you too. It's not about wearing expensive clothes or being obsessed with looks. It's about presenting yourself in a way that shows you care. People respect those who respect themselves. And it's amazing how much of that comes through in how you look. Now, this doesn't mean you need to dress like you're walking down a runway, but it does mean taking care of the basics: clean clothes, good grooming, and attention to detail. These small acts show the world and yourself that you care. When you neglect your appearance, you're essentially telling people, "I don't think I'm worth the effort." And guess what? They'll believe you. When you don't take care of yourself, people will begin to expect less of you, and that's the beginning of lost respect. There's a story that always sticks with me about a successful businessman who made a point of dressing his best every day, no matter how small the occasion. He believed that when you dress well, you perform well. One day, a younger employee asked him why he went to such lengths when the job didn't require it. The businessman replied, "I don't dress well for others. I do it to remind myself that I'm worth the effort." That simple philosophy stayed with me because it illustrates how personal appearance isn't just for others. It's a reminder to yourself that you deserve to show up as your best self every single day. So let me ask you this: are you showing up for yourself? Are you putting in the effort, not just in your work, but in how you present yourself to the world? You may not think it matters, but the truth is, people are always forming opinions based on how you carry yourself. Your appearance is a reflection of how much you respect yourself, and that sets the tone for how others will respect you. If you show up looking like you don't care, people will assume that you don't, and they'll treat you accordingly. Here's the bottom line: neglecting your personal appearance is a form of self-sabotage. It's a signal that you don't value yourself enough to put in the effort. But when you take the time to look your best, you'll notice an immediate difference in how people respond to you. You'll command more respect, be taken more seriously, and most importantly, you'll start respecting yourself more. As Epictetus said, "Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." Respect starts from within, and when you take care of yourself, you show the world that you're worth it. So, the next time you catch yourself thinking, "It doesn't matter how I look," remember this: people are always watching. They're forming opinions about you based on how you present yourself, whether you realize it or not. Respect yourself enough to show up as the best version of yourself, and the world will follow suit. Put in the effort, and watch how people start to treat you differently. Ask yourself, are you dressing and grooming in a way that reflects the person you want to be? If not, it's time to make a change, because the respect you receive starts with how you carry yourself. Thank you for joining us in today's video. Before we move on to the next segment, I want to take a moment to express my sincere gratitude for being part of this community. It's an honor to have you with us, and I'd love to hear your personal stories or impressions. If you're unsure of what to share, don't hesitate to simply drop a comment saying, "I am a newbie" if you're new here, or "I am Stoic" if you've been with us for a while. Your engagement doesn't just show your presence, it truly inspires and motivates us to keep creating content that helps us all grow. Now let's keep moving forward on this journey together, shall we? Habit number 4, ignoring boundaries. Respect begins with the boundaries we set for ourselves and others. Marcus Aurelius. If there's one thing that will make people lose respect for you faster than anything, it's ignoring their boundaries. Boundaries are not optional, they are essential. They are the invisible lines people draw to protect their emotional, mental, and physical space, and when you disregard them, you're essentially telling people that their comfort and autonomy don't matter to you. It's like walking into someone's house uninvited. You wouldn't do that, right? Yet, when we push past someone's boundaries, it's just as intrusive. The truth is, people will never respect someone who doesn't respect their personal space, and ignoring boundaries is a surefire way to make sure that respect never materializes. I learned this lesson the hard way. I used to think that being overly involved in people's lives was a sign of caring. I thought offering unsolicited advice, constantly checking in, or being there all the time showed that I was a good friend or colleague. But here's the reality. I was suffocating them. and I didn't even realize it. Because I didn't understand or respect other people's boundaries, they didn't respect me either. There was a particular time in my life when a close friend started pulling away, and I couldn't understand why. I thought I was being helpful, constantly texting her, calling her, and inviting myself into her life, thinking that I was being supportive. But one day, she bluntly told me, "I need space. You don't understand that, and it's overwhelming." That moment hit me like a ton of bricks. I realized that I had been ignoring her boundaries, and in doing so, I had lost her trust and respect. Respecting boundaries isn't about being distant. It's about understanding that everyone has a right to control their own space and time. When you ignore someone's boundaries, what you're really saying is, "I care more about my needs than yours." And honestly, who is going to respect someone who operates like that? The truth is, boundaries are not barriers. They are the foundation of healthy relationships. When you respect someone's boundaries, you're acknowledging that they are an individual with their own needs, feelings, and limits. And when you do that, respect follows naturally. Here's a deeper insight. Ignoring boundaries is more than just being pushy. It's a failure to understand the essence of respect. Respect isn't just about being polite or kind. It's about recognizing and honoring someone's autonomy. It's about realizing that people are allowed to say no without it being a personal attack. People are allowed to need space without feeling guilty for it. It's about understanding that their world doesn't revolve around you. When you fail to respect those boundaries, you're not just crossing a line. You're sending a message that their comfort doesn't matter to you. I had to learn to step back, to give people the space they needed, and to wait until they were ready to come to me. It wasn't easy, but once I started respecting other people's boundaries, I noticed something incredible. They started respecting me more. Relationships became more genuine, conversations became deeper, and I was no longer seen as the person who couldn't take a hint. When you respect someone's boundaries, you create an environment where they feel safe, valued, and respected, and that's when real connections start to form. But let's not forget, ignoring boundaries doesn't just happen in personal relationships. It shows up in the workplace too. Perhaps you have a coworker who values working independently, but you keep bombarding them with constant updates or micromanagement. Or maybe your boss has expressed a preference for direct and concise communication, but you continue to flood them with unnecessary information, overstepping their boundaries of time and focus. In these cases, you're not just being a nuisance, you're losing respect because you're not honoring their needs or preferences. Respecting boundaries in the workplace is crucial for maintaining professionalism and fostering mutual trust. People will respect you more when you show that you understand and value their time, space, and boundaries. One of the biggest misconceptions about boundaries is that they're about keeping people out. But in reality, boundaries are about keeping relationships healthy. They allow people to maintain their individuality while still being part of a connection. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, and if you can't respect someone's boundaries, you can't expect them to respect you in return. It's a two-way street. Boundaries are not a rejection of you, they are a reflection of someone's needs. And by honoring the limits others set, you're showing them that you value and respect who they are as a person. So let me ask you this. Are you respecting the boundaries of the people in your life? Or are you pushing too hard, overstepping lines, and making it all about your needs? Respect isn't just about being nice. It's about understanding when to step back and give people the space they need. When you honor someone's boundaries, you're telling them, "I see you, I respect you, and I value you." And that, my friend, is the foundation of any strong, respectful relationship. Respecting boundaries isn't just a nice thing to do. It's essential for earning and maintaining respect in any relationship, whether it's personal or professional. It shows that you value the other person as an individual with their own needs and limits. When you respect those limits, people will respect you in return. So next time you're about to offer unsolicited advice, show up uninvited, or push for more than someone is ready to give, pause and ask yourself, am I respecting their boundaries? If the answer is no, take a step back. And remember that respect is earned by showing that you understand and honor the lines people draw. Habit number 5, taking credit for others' work. Integrity is doing the right thing, even when no one is watching. C.S. Lewis. Taking credit for someone else's work is one of the quickest ways to lose respect, not just from the person whose effort you've stolen, but from everyone who witnesses it. This habit isn't just unethical, it's self-sabotage, and it shows insecurity more than it shows confidence. People around you will quickly lose trust, and once that trust is gone, it's incredibly difficult to regain. This behavior damages your reputation because people begin to see you as someone willing to cut corners, someone who's more concerned with appearing successful than actually being competent. And the worst part? It doesn't just hurt the person you're taking advantage of, it destroys your own credibility. Let me share a story from my early career. I was eager to make a name for myself, to stand out, and in one team project I contributed a fair amount, but there was a colleague who really went the extra mile. When it came time to present the results, I subtly angled the conversation so that I appeared to be the one who had done the heavy lifting. I didn't outright lie, but I didn't go out of my way to give proper credit either. At first it felt great. I was getting the recognition and praise I craved, but the satisfaction was short-lived. People always find out the truth, and soon enough my colleague realized what I had done. Word spread, and the admiration I had enjoyed turned into doubt and disappointment. It was a painful realization that respect cannot be built on dishonesty or shortcuts. Stealing credit is a reflection of insecurity and fear. It says, I don't trust myself enough to stand on my own merits, so I need to take from others to prop myself up. And that's the exact opposite of what earns genuine respect. Respect comes from integrity, from authenticity, and from the confidence to give credit where it's due. Think about how you feel when someone takes credit for your hard work. It's frustrating and demoralizing, right? Now imagine how others feel when you do the same to them. Taking credit for someone else's efforts robs them of their sense of accomplishment. It's not just about stealing work. It's about stealing their moment of recognition, their pride in a job well done. This kind of behavior doesn't just damage personal relationships, it also affects professional ones. In the workplace, colleagues will hesitate to collaborate with you if they know you'll take all the credit for their contributions. Over time, this will isolate you, and you'll find yourself losing out on valuable partnerships and opportunities. I've seen talented people miss out on promotions or recognition because they developed a reputation for taking credit for others' work. And trust me, once you get labeled as someone who's only looking out for themselves, it's nearly impossible to shake that off. When you take credit for someone else's work, you're telling the world that your success matters more than your integrity. And here's the truth. Success achieved at the expense of others is hollow. It's not real, and it will eventually crumble. True success is built on collaboration, honesty, and the ability to lift others up along the way. When you give credit to others, it doesn't diminish your own achievements. It actually amplifies them. People respect leaders who recognize the efforts of their team, who share the spotlight, and who aren't afraid to acknowledge that they didn't do it all alone. I've also seen this principle play out in modern life, where social media often glorifies individual success stories while ignoring the teams behind them. In today's world, where everything seems to be about me, taking credit for someone else's work might seem tempting. But here's the catch. People will always find out the truth, and when they do, they'll remember it. It's far better to be known as someone who shares the glory than someone who hoards it. Ask yourself this. Are you the kind of person people can trust to acknowledge their efforts, or are you someone who's more concerned with getting ahead at any cost? It's a tough question, but an important one. Giving credit where it's due shows that you're secure in your own abilities, that you have enough confidence to lift others up without feeling threatened. People are drawn to those who can do that, because it signals strength, not weakness. So how do you fix this if you've been guilty of taking credit for others' work? Start by owning up to your mistakes. If you've taken credit where it wasn't deserved, apologize and give the recognition to those who truly earned it. It might be uncomfortable at first, but it's the only way to start rebuilding trust. Moving forward, make it a point to always acknowledge the contributions of others. It's not just a matter of fairness, it's a matter of building respect. When people see that you're willing to share credit, they'll trust you more, and that trust is the foundation of any successful relationship, whether it's in business or in life. Remember this: respect isn't earned by pushing others down to get ahead. It's earned by lifting them up. When you give credit where it's due, you're not just showing that you're a fair person. You're showing that you're confident in yourself and that you value integrity over temporary praise. Success that comes from collaboration, honesty, and mutual respect is far more fulfilling than any shortcut. And in the long run, that's the kind of success that lasts. So next time you're tempted to take the credit, pause and think, what kind of person do you want to be known as? The one who takes shortcuts, or the one who builds real, lasting respect by being fair, honest, and generous with recognition? Habit number 6, being emotionally reactive. Anyone can become angry, that is easy. But to be angry with the right person, to the right degree, at the right time, for the right purpose, and in the right way, that is not within everyone's power and is not easy. Aristotle. One of the most destructive habits that can erode respect faster than anything else is being emotionally reactive. It's not just about getting mad or upset in the heat of the moment. It's about letting your emotions control your actions, your words, and ultimately, your relationships. When people see that you can't control your emotions, they won't trust you with important responsibilities, leadership roles, or even friendship. Why? Because emotional reactivity is a signal that you're unstable, unpredictable, and frankly, immature. People who lash out in anger, break down in tears at the slightest inconvenience, or shut down when criticized, are sending the message that they can't handle life's pressures, and that's not the kind of person others want to follow or rely on. I've been there. I remember a time when I would let my emotions dictate everything. If someone upset me, I'd either lash out or sulk for hours. And if I felt criticized, I'd immediately go on the defensive, raising my voice or storming out. I thought I was standing up for myself, but looking back, all I was doing was showing everyone how little control I had over my feelings. And that's the thing. When people see you losing control, they don't see strength. They see weakness. They don't think, wow, this person is passionate. They think, this person is unstable. And the respect they might have had for you vanishes in an instant. Think about it. Who do we admire in life? The person who stays calm under pressure, who handles criticism without losing their cool, and who can deal with stress without falling apart. That's true strength. But when you're emotionally reactive, you're showing the opposite. You're telling people that your emotions, not your rational mind, are in charge. People will instinctively avoid you because they know that one wrong word or small inconvenience could set you off. They won't trust you to stay composed in a crisis, and they certainly won't respect you as someone who can handle responsibility. There's a deep truth here. Emotional reactivity isn't a sign of passion, it's a sign of insecurity. When you're quick to anger or tears, it's often because you're trying to protect something fragile inside you, whether it's your ego or a fear of being judged. But here's the harsh reality. No one respects fragility when it comes in the form of emotional overreaction. In fact, they'll start to see you as a burden, someone they need to walk on eggshells around. And let's be honest, who wants to be that person? I once worked with someone who was the epitome of emotionally reactive behavior. In meetings, if someone didn't agree with her, she'd either snap defensively or completely shut down. It was like walking on eggshells around her, and as a result, people stopped inviting her to important discussions. They didn't trust her to handle feedback, and every time she had an emotional outburst, she was burning bridges and losing respect. The sad part was she was intelligent and had a lot to offer, but her emotional instability overshadowed all of that. Being emotionally reactive makes you look weak, not strong. You might feel like you're defending yourself or showing that you care, but what you're really showing is that you lack control. and people don't respect someone who can't control themselves. Think about the last time you saw someone lose their temper, shout, or cry in public. Did you respect them in that moment, or did you feel embarrassed for them? That's the kind of reaction you provoke when you let your emotions take over. But why are we so emotionally reactive? It usually comes from a place of feeling threatened. Our ego is bruised. We feel like we're losing control, so we lash out to protect ourselves. But true power doesn't come from emotional outbursts. It comes from staying calm, collected, and composed when everything around you is falling apart. When you can maintain your composure in the face of criticism, conflict, or stress, people will see you as someone with real strength. And that's where respect comes in. The Stoics were masters of emotional control. They believed that while we can't control external events, we can always control how we respond to them. And that's the key. Your response is your power. You can choose to react emotionally, or you can choose to stay grounded. When you stay grounded, you not only earn respect, but you also gain control over the situation. Because when you're calm, you think more clearly, you make better decisions, and you don't say things you'll regret later. You don't burn bridges. You build trust and maintain your dignity. I had a moment in my own life that really drove this point home. I was in the middle of a heated argument with a close friend, and things were spiraling out of control. I could feel myself about to lose it. I wanted to yell, to defend myself, to let my emotions take over. But something in me clicked. I realized that if I let my emotions drive the conversation, I'd end up saying something I couldn't take back, and I'd ruin the friendship for good. So I stopped, took a deep breath, and calmed down. Instead of lashing out, I listened. And because I did that, we were able to have an actual conversation, resolve the issue, and walk away stronger. If I had reacted emotionally, I would have lost someone important to me. So ask yourself, how do you respond when things don't go your way? Do you let your emotions take over, or do you stay in control? The choice is always yours, and the way you choose to react will determine how much respect you earn. The next time you feel yourself getting worked up, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself if reacting emotionally will help the situation or hurt it. In most cases, staying calm and composed will earn you far more respect than any emotional outburst ever could. True strength is in controlling your emotions, not being controlled by them. And that's a lesson worth embracing, not just for the respect of others, but for your own peace of mind. If you've made it this far, you're on the path to becoming stronger and more disciplined. Drop a comment saying, "I am earning respect," to show you're committed to removing these toxic habits. Respect is one of the most powerful and enduring qualities we can cultivate. Yet it's something that cannot be demanded or forced. It must be earned through consistent actions, integrity, and how we treat ourselves and others. It is the foundation upon which all meaningful relationships, whether personal or professional, are built. When people respect you, they are acknowledging the value of your character, your discipline, and your principles. But respect is a two-way street. Before others can respect you, you must first respect yourself. Self-respect begins with understanding your worth and setting boundaries that reflect that. When you hold yourself to high standards, others will naturally follow suit. This means showing up for yourself, being accountable for your actions, staying true to your word, and continuously striving to be a better version of yourself. It also means removing toxic habits like making excuses, laziness, or being emotionally reactive, which can erode the respect others have for you and that you have for yourself. The way you treat yourself sets the tone for how others will treat you. Respect isn't about seeking approval from others or trying to impress. It's about standing firm in your values even when it's difficult. It's about showing kindness, even in challenging moments, and demonstrating strength by staying calm under pressure. When people see that you are consistent, reliable, and grounded, they naturally feel compelled to respect you. As the Stoics often remind us, we cannot control others, only ourselves. True respect is born from the way we respond to the world, not from the approval or validation of those around us. In modern life, respect is often overlooked in favor of quick success, power, or recognition. But those who truly earn respect are the ones who lift others up, who are fair and honest, and who handle adversity with grace. Think about the people you respect most. Chances are, they aren't the loudest in the room or the ones constantly seeking attention. They are the ones who lead by example, who stay humble in their successes, and who take responsibility when things go wrong. They embody the quiet strength that Stoic philosophy teaches, remaining steady in both triumph and failure, and showing resilience in the face of life's inevitable challenges. So, the real question is, how do you want to be remembered? As someone who demanded respect but never earned it, or as someone who quietly commanded it through their actions? The path to respect isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. Start by looking inward, refining your habits, and living with the kind of integrity that naturally draws respect from others. In the end, it's not about how much respect you receive, but about the legacy of character, discipline, and kindness you leave behind. As we've explored today, respect is something that cannot be demanded. It's something you must earn through self-discipline, integrity, and mindful living. The 6 toxic habits we've discussed, whether it's making excuses, being lazy, losing control of your emotions, or taking credit for others' work, are behaviors that quietly erode the respect others have for you, and more importantly, the respect you have for yourself. But the empowering truth is that you have the ability to change. You are not stuck with these habits. You can remove them from your life step by step. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. Every time you choose to take responsibility instead of making an excuse, every time you decide to control your emotions instead of letting them control you, and every time you show respect for the boundaries and contributions of others, you're building the foundation for respect that lasts. Think about the people in your life whom you truly admire. Chances are they aren't perfect, but they are consistent, responsible, and they handle pressure with grace. They don't blame others when things go wrong, and they don't crumble when faced with challenges. They lead with quiet strength and self-awareness. If you want to command respect in your life, start by respecting yourself enough to eliminate the habits that are holding you back from reaching your full potential. So as we wrap up, I encourage you to take a moment to reflect. Which of these habits resonates with you? Which one do you think has been silently undermining your success and relationships? And what steps will you take today to start changing that? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let's support each other in this journey of growth and self-improvement. At Stoic in Your Life, we believe that true strength and respect come from within, and by applying these principles to your daily life, you will not only earn the respect of others, but also find deeper happiness and personal fulfillment. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and let's continue this journey of self-mastery together.